What's up, everyone? Steven, you just hurt everyone's ears.
So,
hurt my ears.
Eric, you got a little emotional today. You said.
Yeah, I almost cried today.
I did cry today.
I know.
I cried.
Can I talk?
I'm
Can
not
I talk?
afraid
Can I talk to the criers for a second?
Sure.
How you feel?
I feel fucking great, dude. Well, first of all, a big
Happy tears.
big sigh of relief that we're not fucking rugged.
Okay.
This would have been the biggest Cope episode of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't show up for that.
So my emotional journey was
I would
like
have been on ketamine.
like huge sigh of relief. I don't believe you. So, huge sigh of relief, but then like when it finally sunk in, I was feeling so many big things. Like one, I think you felt was like, I'm assuming you felt this. I'm wondering why you're crying. I was crying because I felt like this was a real grassroots movement from the bottom up, like where people created this thing that sort of like the powers that be had to respond to. I was like, this is how change happens, and it's like unfolding right before our eyes. It's amazing.
Armand, what emotions rolled through your body, if any?
Are we like team no cry? Did you secretly cry?
No,
Like,
I just wanted to watch the charts.
okay.
No way Nick cried. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
it reveals to me how emotionally detached I am from the situation.
Nah, you should have called them nerds earlier.
I mean, this is pretty nerdy. There's like ETF songs coming out, and it's funny. We're definitely in a little bubble. We're in a little bubble. It's hilarious.
Well, let's kick this off. Welcome everybody to the Alfalfa podcast. We are Eric Johansson, Armand Asadi, Steven Cesaro. I am Nick Urbani, and happy Bitcoin ETF Day, everybody.
Happy.
If you haven't heard the news, we have an
Team
ETF approved, and
Adam has a heart.
yeah.
Adam cried. That a boy.
What's up to the chat? We have a big little episode today to celebrate. And if you're watching on YouTube, and thanks for everyone joining the chat, we have some new decorations. We have a candle lit. I don't know if it's to
Thank me later.
commemorate the emotional moment. Eric,
the
what else
ambiance,
do we
sir.
have to drink here? A little
So I
celebration.
brought two things. One is Lagavulin. That's my favorite scotch. And then I brought a bottle of champagne that we can pop on air to celebrate.
You ready
do
for
a
it?
toast.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right,
Let's do that. Thanks, bud.
Ooh, Armand's gonna pop it.
Prep it.
All right. Well, while he's doing that, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, ZBiotics. The URL is zbiotics.com/alfalfa. Use the code alfalfa at checkout. Again, it's a pre-alcohol probiotic drink. First genetically engineered probiotic. You take it before you drink, and it helps you not feel like shit in the morning. And I have a feeling that we're gonna be glad that we took our
Yeah.
ZBiotics
We're going hard tonight,
today,
baby.
since we have a bottle of Lagavulin and a bottle of champagne and who knows what later tonight. So highly recommend all of you, if you have some in your kitchen, in your office, use it tonight if you're celebrating along with us. Yeah, check it out, zbiotics.com/alfalfa. Use alfalfa at checkout for 15% off.
Thank God we're taking ZBiotics because my dad would be like, Armand John, you're drinking champagne and you're mixing. That's
You
very
are
dangerous. You must take Alka-Seltzer after. Don't worry, Dad. I got ZBiotics. All right, am I popping it like the polite way or like the degen?
I don't know, like, I don't want to have to clean it
going
up,
full
so...
DJ.
I don't want World Series
No,
going
not
on.
a cleanup. I'm just talking about like a. Yeah, are we popping?
There we go.
Knew it was coming. Still scary.
So, what's the brand name of that? Because I heard something before we started this pod.
Oh, yeah. What is the brand name? I think it's Rick Ross's
The
brand.
Boss.
Bel Air.
The Boss.
Rick Ross.
Yeah.
Actual
Bel Air.
thank you to Amber for this one. She brought it over for New Year's and we didn't get to it. So
And thank you to me for buying it for you.
thank you to Stephen.
No, we canceled
I'm
Amber.
just, I'm
Steven's
just kidding.
thank you,
Sorry,
and
Amber.
We give it back to Amber.
Amber, this champagne was meant for a meaningful occasion and is being used on a very meaningful occasion. Thank you.
All right. Well, while we drink the champagne, let's talk about a little yesterday's episode because we had a false start there, and for those in the Discord know, we were doing our content planning for this episode while the Bitcoin fake launched, and we were on a Zoom call here.
Grab your champagne.
Let's do a
nerds.
cheers, boys.
All right.
I'm trying not to cry right now.
This is. Cheers. Eyes. Eyes.
We did it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I also want to thank you all for your hard work in getting this ETF launched. All three of you, Jimmy,
We have done
all
our
the
part.
listeners out there.
I did my part.
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't bad, actually.
Rick Ross.
It was tasty. All right, so I found some good memes in the Discord from yesterday. So yeah, let's start off with that one. So for all of you who don't know, the SEC Twitter handle was compromised, and it leaked out that the Bitcoin ETFs were approved. And we found some funny memes in the Discord to celebrate. First one off, we got Gary Gensler on the Gladiator. Are you not entertained?
I don't like this meme.
Next up, we
Glorifies
got
Gary too much.
we got a retweet of a previous SEC saying, "Careful what
Not
you
that
read on the
long
internet.
ago.
The best source of information about the SEC is the SEC."
Yeah, sure enough.
I feel like you just glossed over the thing there. Like, yeah, it's an SEC account. The SEC account was hacked and announced a fake release of the
They
ETF.
said it was compromised. What's my money's on they posted it early.
Elon said it was actually compromised.
Really?
Yeah, like he did
Their
the
ex-safety team.
It
said
doesn't
something, right?
make any sense because the guy who hacked it went through all the trouble to like Photoshop this like fake announcement, but then he didn't. What was he doing? Like, if he wanted to make money, he could have just been like,
No, he was out
Denied.
trading perps on the other side.
he could just right. But
No,
like,
but if he
it
was
nuked
trading-
anyway.
If
Like
he was
you-
trading perps, he would say it would be denied.
Yeah, if he just tweeted denied from the SEC account, like, and he just goes like 100x short, he makes like $900 million.
I sort of like his move here though, because his only intention is to discredit the SEC. I love that.
It is just pure trollery.
Yeah.
like there is no financial motive here. I want to know who it was so badly.
and
It literally-
they regained control of their account 17 minutes later. So yeah, I don't know if it was a mistake. I think it's most likely a mistake.
And literally it was because they didn't have like 2FA on.
Right, and they tweeted that you should have your
SEC?
2FA.
On their highest reach account. That's
I
crazy.
saw that Packy McCormick tweeted out, claimed that the SEC torched 2x the market cap value than the FTX blowout.
Wow.
From if you manage wick to wick,
Wow.
it was 2x. I haven't checked those numbers. That seems kind of outrageous to me. But in any case, if
That's
this
probably
is a publicly
true,
traded
actually.
Who
company,
is
there would be,
responsible for this?
they're going to have to investigate themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Preposterous.
All right, back to the memes.
Yeah, let's go back to the meme. So we got our boy Dan in the Discord saying, SEC, we couldn't possibly approve a spot ETF. There's too much manipulation. Us, prove it. SEC, hold my beer. Clearly manipulating the market. And then let's go to Michael Saylor here. Bitcoin will be the only thing ever approved twice by the SEC.
That was a pretty good one.
Pretty Chad, yeah.
Just
That's not as good as the how many chairs comment, but
all right, let's go next. We got the SEC intern hovering over the Coin Telegraph intern. If
Oh,
you
yeah,
remember in the
crushed him.
summer, there was a little fake
Probably
news from
same
a Coin
guy.
Telegraph
time is a
article.
flat circle.
And then let's lastly go to a screenshot of our call. And this is what it looks like when an
hell is
ETF
this
gets
screenshot?
approved and Steven goes offline to
go
trade.
trade.
To go trade.
Oh, I thought he just ripped his shirt off. Got serious.
All of us
Got
are
into
on the
trading
call, and Steven is
Dead silent.
yeah, just he's
You
on the
guys-
call.
You guys think trading is so hard? You know what I did? I logged into my account and I just market bought Ethereum and everything related to Ethereum and then just walked
Great
away.
move. Great move.
Armand's like, is Steven on this call? Is he here?
I have it set where like if the video isn't on, it doesn't show the person. I literally was like, he's gone. He left.
But yeah, you made some moves right at the thing, and you actually were like kind of talking out the logic, probably a step ahead of everyone else. Can you maybe talk through what you were mentioning to us while we were on the call?
So the first thing I did was I and a lot of other people as well, but this was an original idea of mine. So I'll give myself credit. I've been saying for a while that the ETF was going to be the bottom of the ETH BTC ratio. It would be the lowest point of ETH's value relative to Bitcoin. So I pulled up that chart on the announcement, and like Bitcoin kind of went up a little bit and then started trading down, and then ETH started mooning. So the the ETH BTC ratio just started going through the roof. And what I told you guys was like, this is like what happened over the summer. So over the summer we had another fake announcement, and Bitcoin popped huge, and then it was like the market showing its hand to you. So everybody had this collective realization that like, oh God, like this could actually happen, and people are way off sides for this.
Right.
And so the move retraced, but then everybody bought, and then that was all she wrote, and we went up. So the same thing happened here. So we had the pop in ETH BTC, and then people were like, oh wait, an ETH ETF is next, and everybody's been just crapping all over ETH for months, and nobody owns enough of it. And now ETH is just up like probably 15 or 20% almost from that point. Arbitrum, Optimism, some of the high beta plays are
And so
way up.
for most people listening, they may not know exactly what you bought because you said I market bought, but you didn't market buy Bitcoin.
No,
So
I
what'd you
market
buy?
bought Ethereum and Ethereum layer 2s and Lido.
And is that solely based off of the fact that an ETH ETF is
Did
next?
Good.
Yeah. So
Well,
the logic is, ETH ETF next, so ETH go up, and things
Beta
that are
to
ETH
ETH.
ecosystem go up faster than ETH, so also buy
Wait, this
those.
isn't that hard. I should be a trader.
Not that hard.
Okay, I'm in. I'm in for the Steven Cesaro
You had
School of
literally
Trading.
like 16 hours to just market buy before we got all like the god candles. It was kind of crazy actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bought some optimism last night. Right
You're
before
like,
bed.
can't be this easy.
Very
Great.
good.
Felt great.
Oh,
Yeah.
that feels good.
Well, let's talk about like what this means in
ENS.
in general.
I like it.
You like ENS? Are you
love
making a call?
ENS.
All right, so
I liked
Armand's
ENS.
made about like
I liked
two
ENS a
calls
week ago.
in this whole podcast.
We need Armand.
He's
We
I
need
too-
our
liked
board of
ENS.
Armand's
I should have
calls.
brought it up last week on the pod, but I liked ENS a week ago. I didn't buy it, unfortunately.
Okay, but
And
you're just
I
saying
think
you
it's
still like
like
it.
35% up.
All right.
Yeah.
You
But
own
I like
some,
it.
You
I
own
like it.
an ENS name.
Yeah, I had
right?
the airdrop and I own names. I think I still need to send you yours.
Oh, yeah.
But no, in general, I love the platform. I think who is it in the community that's a huge ENS? bull?
Feech.
Peach, of
Peach.
course,
Feech. Yeah. Didn't
Yeah.
he give us Alfalfa Pod?
he did.
That
He,
ETH?
he gifted
My
it to
man.
us.
My
I thought
man
it was
Feech.
Oh, by the way,
Was it not?
Cameron.
Was it not? I don't want to get that wrong. But yeah.
so ENSs, they're NFTs. We forgot to mention,
Oh,
yeah, we have an NFT
Oh,
collectible every week
forgot
at
about that.
pods.media/alfalfa.
That's hard. Alfalfapod.com. Is it there?
Alfalfapod.com.
you
Apparently,
go.
we have a link there. That's easier.
I hope we do.
But collect this week's episode. It is now live. This is going to be an historic one. This is the
This is the
Bitcoin
champagne
ETF
episode.
episode.
This is very historic.
Shout out to our number one and our number two collector. Last week we had our buddy 0x Lucas and some Anon 0x 4320.
So
You
know
just
who
to
you are.
clarify,
Like
I misled people. I lied. It's not at alfalfapod.com, but is it in the description for the pod and the YouTube? If not,
It will
we can
be.
add it.
Pods.media/alfalfa.
Okay.
But yeah, we should put that in the description.
Let's just throw it in the chat.
Yeah.
so I want to talk about just what this means in general. It's a good time to kind of take a step back.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember when the first time I heard an ETF was, but I remember it was from the Winklevoss twins.
The Winklevi.
Yeah, they were the first one to kind of come out. I think maybe 2017. I'm just trying to picture around.
No, I think it
Earlier?
was 2013 or
2013?
2014.
Wow,
It's been like 10 years, man.
10 years coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's it mean? Like outside of price.
Can we go to Team Cried first?
Yeah, Team Cry. What do you say?
I want to kick this over to Mr. TradFi guy.
Yeah.
Because he's probably got a good perspective.
Well, I think from my angle, because like, I'm a microcosm of that like old guard. So like when I was thinking about it, I couldn't help but go like really big picture on this, where I was like, oh my God, this is like a moment. This is a moment. And like when I thought about this moment, I was like, we're gonna like be 5 or 10 years down the road where like everything in the world is tokenized. Like we're gonna be trades, like everything's just gonna become integrated, meaning like crypto, stonks, everything is just integrated into one like financial universe where like you can trade everything. And I was like, and this is the moment where it all began, because this is the moment where crypto became like validated as like a real thing in the eyes of like where I was, that's how I felt. And that was like why I was getting kind of emotional.
Yeah, I mean, I was emotional because like there's a lot of suffering that comes with being in crypto. Like people think you just like hold coin and you get rich, and it's not. It's obviously not like that at all. You blow up a bunch, you get hacked, you go through like every 3 or 4 years some version of like, oh, this whole thing I thought was cool is actually just a giant scam, and I'm a moron. and it's dead and it's never coming back. So you're like constantly like dying and reincarnated. And like I feel like the last cycle, even though it was my third, was like the worst one. Like the end of it was so bad.
It was very bad.
It was so gnarly at the end. We had so much fraud. And it came from a point of us thinking that the asset class was mature and like we were just like a step away from basically being like a part of the system. So like at least in the 2017, 2018 kind of cycle, like we kind of knew it was like a shit show and it was just like a shit show. Like so this like we kind of fell off a high perch and it was nuts. And just the idea that like if you think to where we were at like a year ago, if I told you last December that a year from now we'd be sitting here talking about a Bitcoin ETF launching, like you would have told me I was high. Like it was so bad. Like we were sitting there wondering if Bitcoin was going to go to single digits, if we would ever come back from it. Like we just came off the FTX disaster, and just it's crazy to think like what can happen in a year and how unpredictable like the next 12 months or even 6 months can be. It's super wild, and it kind of makes you think like what we'll be saying 12 months from now.
Yeah, it's wild. Like you hear about, like I saw the Van Eck CEO on there. He's like, well, we were here in 1968 when the gold ETF launched. I don't think in our lifetimes a new asset class has come to publicly traded markets before. So at some point later in our lives, we'll be able to say we were there at the launch of a new asset class.
Not only were we there, I feel I had this overwhelming feeling like we all did it. Like, you know, to whatever degree that we as individuals contributed to this whole movement, like we pushed it forward, all of us together. Like that's what was so cool.
What are the levers that contributed the most to that, you believe? Is it literally just participating? Is it
even
content and media?
All of it. But like even by putting your dollars in contributes. Like everything.
I mean, I want to give a shout out to what you first said was this might be one of the first asset classes where it actually started from individuals and then made its way up to, you know, commercial people doing, you know, you may be using it in some kind of business format like Sailor, and then eventually reaching institutions in larger public markets where it's usually the reverse. And so I just found that interesting. Like when I was walking around today, that this is the first one that started with individuals, and it grew big enough.
So philosophical question for you guys. I forget her name, but she does a lot of like, might be like Morgan or something like that on Twitter. And she had this like hot take where she was like, Satoshi, if he's dead, would basically be like rolling around in his grave knowing that like Bitcoin just launched an ETF.
Yeah.
And then the counter argument to that, for some people was like, that's absurd because this actually, well, I won't give the full counter argument. I'm curious like where you guys land with that. Like, do you actually think this is like within the ethos of Bitcoin and this is a positive thing that this started as like an individual peer-to-peer network and grassroots thing that developed to now being this, you know, I mean, this is huge now. This is very significant, right? So like, is that within the ethos still, or is this just now a way for like insiders to make money?
I'm of the mindset that like Bitcoin is just a meme, and memes are network effects, and anything that kind of like increases the network effect of Bitcoin is probably good for Bitcoin. I kind of get why the sort of religious types are upset about that, and I do think this like opens up the door to something crazy like happened in the 40s, right? Where they seized all the gold. Like if all the Bitcoin becomes like paper Bitcoin, kind of like you can see something crazy happening, and it's very easy for them to tell BlackRock like, oh, you have to give us all of the shares of this asset versus like confiscating people's private keys.
Yeah.
So
like, I guess if it weren't going to arrive to this, then what would have happened? It literally would have been the people versus government, and it just would not have shaken out like in a productive way, right?
yeah, I agree with that as well. I've never subscribed to this Bitcoin vision of like we're just gonna basically break the whole system and like I think like there's some happy medium where we bend the system towards us a little bit without blowing the whole thing up and turning the world into Mad Max. And I think they're like we are.
That's
doing
why
like a
I view
happy
it as a
medium
win.
thing. Yeah,
You know, it's an integration. of like TradFi and status quo with this huge acceptance of like a future that is, is it decentralized to the degree that you'd want or not? You got something, Nick?
Yeah, I got some little announcement. Shill My Rec Bags just tipped $100.69.
Oh my
Thanks
God.
for the regular Alfalfa guys.
Dang.
Oh man, appreciate you.
Thank you
Salute
so
to you.
much.
Thank you,
sir.
Shill
Thank you,
my
man.
rec bags.
Thank
We had a good like
get a
quarter,
good
6
bottle
months
for
here
you.
on the show. So hopefully people who've been listening have done pretty well. Although
Yeah.
none of this is financial advice. You know that.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
do what we
yeah.
say.
You have to say those at the same time.
But if for
or-
some reason you happen to take the same trades as us, like you coincidentally
Eric's
did
ass
pretty
puckers
good.
every time you say something like that.
definitely don't listen to my trades.
I don't know. You're 2 for 3.
No,
One
no.
is still outstanding.
There's
You
probably
could
like
be 3 for
100
3.
before that we forgot about.
So let's talk about maybe like what's next now, because I
Yeah.
think the whole market we mentioned sort of turned its eyes to Ethereum. It seems like the earliest we might be able to get an Ethereum ETF now is like May, and I think the final deadline date was like August from what I saw currently. But it'd be interesting to see if the SEC is just like, yeah, fuck it, just take it. So as early as May, I think like
So
we could
I
have
think
ETH as
on
well.
one side of the argument, you have Gary Gensler in his statement saying this is confined to Bitcoin, which is a non-security like crypto commodity, however he described it. But then Esther Pierce went on Bloomberg and was saying, well, this is precedence, and people may take precedence and then use that to file other ETFs. And
She's like,
you know,
be a real shame if
she also said that her biggest gripe with her fellow commissioners is that they have not followed precedents in the past.
Did you read the letter she wrote?
No, I
It
didn't.
is scathing. Like it's
Is this
like
a recent letter or like you?
it
talking
was
about
like
one in
no,
the
it was
past?
like today. I think she wrote some like commentary on the recent events, and it was like wow, like how does she walk around?
Do her and
the
Gary
office?
share an office?
Like she's like shitting on people basically, not
Man.
like but like kind of like you're
Makes
reading
me
you're like,
awkward around
"Ooh."
the coffee maker.
Yeah, it's like pretty savage. But like she like history has been and will continue to prove her correct on all this. I think she's definitely been towing the right line with all this stuff. As far as like ETH goes, though, like are you? How do you guys feel about your portfolios right now? Like, are you
Good.
You,
It's
you doing anything? I know you're Mr. like Rotator.
No. Oh yeah. I mean, while we were on the call, I rotated the last little
Yeah, you
Bitcoins I
you
have,
picked a good number to rotate at.
and yeah, I feel like most of my ETH bags are kind of packed.
Same.
At this point, and
I was already like a lot of ETH, and I did some rotation today. Rotated half my Bitcoin into just regular ETH.
That's a big rotation.
But I was already like so heavily into ETH anyways. It's just like I now have like half a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's a rough spot, like not having all the instruments you have in a brokerage. Like right now, I want to rotate not just into ETH, but into like ETH beta, into stuff that is like ETH, but will go up more than ETH, like Optimism, like Arbitrum. I really like Lido as like a staking play. I really like Pendle
You guys still like
as like a
Rocket Pool?
staking play. Rocket Pool's interesting. So I posted on Twitter, like I was like, how to have a good year, like yesterday. I was like, wake up today, buy ETH, buy OP, buy R, buy Lido, and log off till Christmas. I got a bunch. I had like a couple people message me, and I got a bunch of comments who were just like, "One of these coins doesn't belong on here." Like people hate Lido. Like Lido
no, they
is
do. ETH
kind of
people
like a
hate
hated
Lido.
coin. Of the yeah.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Like it's this thing you realize in crypto after a while. Like there's this thing about like the hated rally. Like for some reason, like hated coins do very well. Like I feel like Lido is almost like the ADA of ETH in a way. Like people are just like, oh, it's just so much inflation and the coin doesn't do anything, and like Rocket Pool needs like
They-
utility. But I'm just like,
people
here's a chart.
Are technical and
Yeah.
they don't like the fundamentals of it, and they prefer Rocket Pool for that.
I like
reason.
Rocket Pool from like an ideological perspective. I
Exactly.
do.
Exactly.
I'm just
but you're
trying to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like if you pull up like you can this is like an interesting thing to do if you're like, do I buy this coin or another? Like an interesting thing to do is to chart one coin like divided by another coin in TradingView, like a ratio. if you pull up like Rocket Bowl Lido, it's not pretty. Like if I show that chart to anybody here and would be like, do you want to buy that? You'd be like, no. No, it looks terrible.
So we got a staking protocol in there.
Yeah.
And then we got
layer twos and staking. Like we're going to have
to choose. Well, we kind of had that conversation already. Never mind.
What?
Just like the Arbitrum versus Optimism.
No,
like,
my take is don't choose. You just buy both of them.
Yeah, just split it.
And that's he's been a pretty good call.
Like 50-50 on that allocation.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of people in our Discord really like Arbitrum. I mean, there's people who like OP, but I feel like Arbitrum is the same as Rocket Pool. Like people look at it and they're like, oh my god, like OP is not fully decentralized. Like they still have the keys to the, and then like Arbitrum has all this TVL, and then
and it's just a shitty gov coin.
And you like 110 IQ it, and then like OP pumps harder.
All right, so I only bought
so
Optimism.
no like dexes, no,
I hate that. I hate that.
All right,
don't make it too complicated.
Okay, but like I thought, like I don't know, Eric, like you love Uniswap.
Yeah, I don't own any Uniswap, but I have this vision in my mind that Uniswap will be a very valuable asset one day. The Uniswap token. Okay. I mean, they got to turn on the fee switch.
It's like an interesting. It's like kind of like starting to give you like the Chainlink chart vibes at this point. You're like, this thing is like a pretty good coin, and it died, and it's been dead for a long time, and it's just flatlining. You're like, I actually did. I do own a tiny bit of Uniswap right now because I was like, I should probably own less than. I mean, more than zero. Yeah,
I think it's like the most.
I shorted it.
I think it's the most obvious thing on earth that you should own this thing. It's like the best business in crypto, and it has immense value to the protocol. And I think the token will be valuable once they turn on the fee switch. Whenever the regulatory regime
problem.
Whenever the regulatory regime allows that.
So if I could own any Dino DeFi coin, I would own Uniswap because it actually only has the hope of revenue. Like Maker and like some of these other ones, they have actual revenue, so you can always tie them to reality. Why like coins like OP and Arbitrum and Lido and like Solana, they do really well in bull markets because they just run on hopium and like there's no cash flows. So like the price of the coin it's just like your imagination. It's
can
like,
I give
how
my
big could it get?
Middle curve take on OP versus ARB?
Yeah. Are you sure it's middle curve?
I think so.
Okay.
It could be left curve. So base is on Optimism, and I think that when
Sold.
Yeah, that's partially it. If there are larger companies, larger institutions that want to build on a blockchain, they will likely choose ETH. I think they might choose the chain that is built by a publicly traded, regulated company. Might sound dumb, but I think that will be their logic. And then I just like OP strategy, and there will be network effects that happen as Coinbase launches Base and other companies and other groups do the same. I think there will be network effects within there, and they will solve like a pooled liquidity problem where you have to kind of bridge across. I think eventually that will be solved. And so I like Optimism, and I think at some point it wouldn't be absurd to expect them in the top 10 coins of like, if you rank by market cap, you go on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko to see them in the top 10. They're number 25 right now. So anyway, that's my take.
I have a semi-interesting take on this. Well, it's not it's an adjacent take to that
because we don't do semi-interesting here.
I think it's actually kind of funny. Okay. It's a funny take. So you can't buy Base, right? So a lot of people are like, "Oh, buy coin," and like, yeah, you could buy coin. I think owning coin is good, but like, I think this is one of those things that's going to age like very, very good or like really bad. The base coin,
asymmetric take.
Yeah, the base coin is Toshi, like the cat meme.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually tweeted about this like a few weeks ago during like kind of meme coin mania. I was like, I'm like unironically building a Toshi position because at some point Base is going to be a thing and people are going to look around and there's going to be no base coin. There's going to be no token to buy. And then people are going to go, oh, a meme coin. And like, this is one of those memes that's kind of maybe achieved some like escape velocity.
Yeah. Toshi's
Toshi was up 80% today at one point.
Toshi's the Shiba of that ecosystem.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting thing to have like a little bit of like OP, ARB, and Toshi.
I want to give a
Brett,
shout.
Did you see Brett
Yeah,
in the chat?
I was going to read it out actually.
Here.
So Brett in the chat offers a counter take to maybe mine. which is ARB structurally forces its ecosystem to build atop it like ETH with L2. OP stack is open for everyone, and there is no structural incentive to give value back to OP mainnet. I think ARB wins out on multi-year time horizon like ETH, but maybe all bets are off in a bull.
See, for me, it's more about the branding. Like I like the optimism branding.
Because it just
It's like when you're a fan of a
Feels
sports
good.
team and you're like, I like their uniform.
That's how it starts for a lot of people. I like the Michigan Wolverines when I was like 6 years old because they're helmets.
So curious how serious you
They're
guys
good
think I
helmets.
am right now.
Wait, no, I've actually thought about this. Like Arbitrum,
Great branding.
No, it is. Like Arbitrum is like the robot like autist thing. It's like Arbitrum, and then like Optimus is like optimism. You know, it's like kind of more,
Dude.
It's more visionary and
Hey,
grandiose
that
and like
give that
emotive.
designer a raise.
Yeah. So I
Remember
get
the way
that.
you claimed your airdrop too? You remember that?
No,
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
can you remind me?
It was like you had to answer questions correctly.
Oh yeah, they were like indoctrinating
Yeah,
you in like a survey.
yeah.
I remember that. I was like,
you had
oh,
to
that's-
elect somebody to be your
Yeah,
representative. Yeah. It's
No,
a
that
whole
was
thing.
smart.
I
I
liked it.
liked the way
I
they
liked
did that.
it.
It's a good flow.
That's
So now that we're
interesting
moving to
analysis.
a potential ETH ETF launch, can we maybe try to talk about some upcoming ETH narratives? We know that price, kind of leads narratives, but let's just talk about them. So a few things I've been thinking about is like people will, and I'm thinking about CNBC people, Bloomberg people will think about a spot Ether ETF, and then there'll be a little more like digging and interest into it, and they'll be like, well, what about this staked ETH that potentially finds yield? I'm hoping that will become part of the mainstream. I don't think there will be a staked ETH ETF in the long run, but do you guys think this will be a narrative that will, I don't know, become mainstream?
Yeah, it's going to be a huge narrative, and that's why I think that like something like Lido is going to be like an interesting way to play that, because people are going to and I'll keep in mind too, we're going to have Eigenlayer next year, which is the restaking thing, which we haven't even started yet, right?
Has anyone done any restaking? I have.
Yeah,
I
like
got my points going.
you like Eigenlayer is the freest money on the planet right now. Like if you are not just, I don't want to say this actually. That's like I don't want to tell people to put all their ETH in Eigenlayer.
Yeah.
I have personally put a lot of ETH in Eigenlayer.
More or less than 10%?
More.
Oh.
It's going to be an enormous airdrop. It just is. It's just one of those things, and I think like if you can get in, you probably have, don't put in more than you can lose because shit happens. But like normally I don't put more than 5% in anything, and this one I'd put more because it's like maybe one of the biggest things.
More or less than
that we'll ever
50%.
have. It's less than 50.
Okay.
50 is a little-
One of
just
the,
made
one
me
of the biggest
sweat.
things from the airdrop perspective, the potential airdrop perspective.
the airdrop, and it's just going to be like the biggest like narrative that ETH has for the next like year or two. It's going to be huge. And that's why I said earlier, like I think an interesting way to play this narrative, if you want to go like high beta, you follow this all the way down the rabbit hole. I think we were talking about
that's
this
where
like
you
a
get in
couple
trouble.
months ago. We're like, oh, if you think it's going to be an ETH ETF, do you just skip and just buy Lido? Because like the yield thing. And that's why I think like Pendle, which is like it's like a 200 million market cap. So yeah, don't go overboard on it. But you've got exposure to like the LSTs with like STETH and Rocket Pool, right? But then they're also going to roll stuff out when like restaking becomes a thing. It's like an interest rate swap protocol, which is like a big thing in TradFi, the ability to trade like interest rate swaps, interest rate derivatives. So I have like a small chunk of my kind of like high beta portfolio in that. I've been actually talking about it in the Discord since like 20 cents like last spring, I think, and it's been like one of the best coins the whole bear market actually. So interesting thing to think about. Brett's got a comment about restaking.
What do we got here?
Said restaking is as impactful as MEV. When ETH Foundation is looking to nerf something before it even comes out, it changes the landscape. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good airdrop opportunity, but an opportunity for additional yield. And
It's just going to capture attention more than anything, right? Like crypto, I think is very mimetic. It's very like attention based, and anything that happens that captures eyeballs just kind of makes number go up in a way during a bull. And I know that sounds kind of nihilistic almost because it's just like an attention game. Not in the long run, but in the bull market in a year time frame, yeah, you are trading that. So when you can kind of line up this confluence, like ETH has this interesting confluence now where there's like TradFi thing happening, and then these like super sick narratives kind of rolling out, and you get the meeting of those two things coinciding with this period where everybody was just completely shitting on it. Like you just saw like ETH, like Sol, like top bottom signals everywhere over the last month. It's just kind of like one of those situations where you go like, oh, okay, I need to shove some chips in right now because we've swung the complete other way of the pendulum from when we were during the merge where we were all like kind of peak euphoria, ETH is going to change the world, 20 trillion, and then saw how that went.
So we're like 6 hours, like I don't know, maybe a couple hours away from the Bitcoin ETF approval, and we've seen like a clear rotation away from Bitcoin into other assets. Should we play the ETH ETF very similarly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think that'll be at the time?
So here, like, I think it's very simple. You like, we saw the run up in Bitcoin price prior to the ETF launch. I think
So you
I think
play that in advance.
you play that in advance, and then I think Bitcoin price continues to go higher actually as like funds continue to come in. But then people will attribute the price run up to the ETF launch. So then what's the next to go? ETH. And so I'm going to play the ETH one. And then after that goes, then I'm going to fucking play the Sol ETF launch next. Like, it just fucking keep on moving down the...
Sir, there will be no Sol ETF launch.
Well, it's not even so much going to be Sol ETF. Maybe, but like there is going to be. It's so predictable almost. Like maybe it won't play out this way, but like a few weeks ago, I was like, man, there's a lot of Sol euphoria on the timeline, and it's kind of outlining these ideas like why that might hit a wall at some point, and then the same thing's gonna happen now. Now Sol ETH is down like 35% in 2 weeks. And then if ETH keeps running up going into the air to the ETF, there's going to be this reverse narrative now that like, you morons, you bought the Sol exit pump with the VCs, you're so dumb. ETH is obviously the best asset. Everybody's gonna be tweeting about how ETH is the best thing ever, and like all the Sol manlets are stupid. And then like probably the same thing happens with the ETH ETF as the BTC ETF, and then probably Sol goes on a tear and like outperforms for the.
I don't think there'll be a
I agree
Solana
with
ETF. I wouldn't be surprised it gets a lot of PR airtime.
Definitely not
But
this year.
I do think there's someone dumb enough to do a reverse merger into a publicly traded, kind of shell company, and just stack the balance sheet full of Solana.
Of Solana?
Make like a micro strategy of Solana.
Exactly. Like that seems like a interesting play, and I think someone's dumb enough.
Seems like a
to do
great
it.
business, by the way.
I was like, what would
Add
it
that
take
to your
to do
add
this?
that to your list
Yeah.
next time you meet with Marcus.
Yeah, we're a little busy right now, but yeah. Can we talk about anything else ETH related that you want to talk about right now?
ETH related. No, I think we kind of hit on it. Just general framework for the next quarter is it's kind of like an ETH quarter, but then if this cycle, fingers crossed, goes a while, it is going to kind of be like an ETF cycle, I think. And if time goes on long enough and we do get an ETH ETF, like people are going to be like, well, what about like Sol? And then like the one that I think might be a dark horse to kind of pump might be something stupid like XRP.
Oh,
Like something that's really shit.
actually, so
They have won like a lawsuit, right? And it's been kind of beaten down now, and it might end up doing a Sol where it's like dead for a while and like kind of shitty, and then like it's like in the back of my mind as a potential like
Actually,
hated stupid
I think
trade
that's
for later
next
in the
over
cycle.
Solana because when they were
That would
questioning,
be so funny.
Jesus.
when they were
That'd be so
questioning Pierce,
stupid.
it was like, well, maybe there'll be an Ether ETF and an XRP ETF, and I was like, XRP, where the hell did you get that? But if you go to the CNBC homepage and you click crypto, it's Bitcoin,
Yep.
ETH, and XRP.
There's this
Wow.
weird
That's-
like institutional like bias that already pre-exists for
it's
some of these coins.
just the market cap.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it is.
They're
it is,
not that smart. They're just looking at the rankings.
They're
There's
not
like,
that smart.
This matters, right?
Sol's a
It's-
bigger market cap than XRP, right?
Sol's got to be bigger now.
I think it may have
Now.
just flipped it. I'm not sure.
No.
Am I high?
But it was
In my
huge.
mind, XRP is like
They're
like 3
both
billion. It can't be more than that. It's so
They're
stupid.
huge.
No, sir.
But it's 80 million. Somebody fact check me.
Before we, I have one last Bitcoin ETF related question
Yeah, it
for you
did
guys.
flip it. It's 32 billion and Sol's 43 billion.
Wow, $32 billion.
Yeah, they're just looking at the rankings.
You know, for as much shit as we give Gary Gensler, we did get a Bitcoin ETF approved under his reign.
Yeah.
But I
I'm
did
not
want
giving him
to. I
any
did want to
credit for
call
that.
out.
Yeah, but was that a choiceless choice?
Yes,
Yes.
I agree. So in his statement,
So then,
in the same breath, he says, "Though we
statement.
are merit neutral."
no, you're
in
not
the
going to talk about
in
this,
the
are you?
same breath, he says, "I note that the underlying assets in the metals ETPs have consumer and industrial uses, while in contrast, Bitcoin is primarily a speculative, volatile asset that's also used for illicit activity, including ransomware, money laundering, sanction evasion, and terrorist financing."
Yeah, nobody uses gold or dollars for that stuff.
And I, you know, commodity like oils never resulted in any deaths of humans.
I don't care about most of this stuff, but this pissed me off so much.
Because he said it in the same sentence that although he's
That he
not merit
said-
neutral and then was not
There were
merit
two
neutral.
things that were just like abruptly and obnoxious about that sentence, those sentences. It was like saying that we are not favorable to any one thing over the other, right? But on the other hand, what are you comparing this to? Why are you comparing it to that? Like if you actually compare Bitcoin to the asset class that matters, which is like dollars or global GDP, if you just observe the global GDP market, 5% is illicit behavior, money laundering, all the types of shit that they complain about that happens with Bitcoin. And if you look at not just on, by the way, this is, if you look at it on an absolute level, it's absurdly worse. Like it's infinitesimally small with Bitcoin. It's 1%, less than 1%. And so on an absolute level, on a percentage level, it's even
It's
more ridiculous to
under-indexed
look at.
to where it should be.
Where it
actually
should
be higher.
be. And why is that? Well, it's inherently because dollars and fiat have been around much longer. So people are obviously much more comfortable with laundering and doing illicit behavior and crime with fiat. But more importantly, money is not traceable. Like
Right.
it's more difficult to trace. Like everything is on chain with Bitcoin. How stupid do they think people are
Right.
that they don't understand that people know that Bitcoin and crypto is on chain?
Yeah, they had the CrowdStrike.
It's to your detriment to do something criminal with crypto.
They had the CrowdStrike CEO on CNBC asking him like, so when you see this like fake tweet from the SEC handle, what do you think? He's like, well, I'm sure like firms like Chainalysis are already looking at who is leveraged long or into this, and they'll probably figure it out. And so, I mean,
Of course they are. That's what the entire business is about. I just think that, we were texting about this in the group chat earlier, and it really just pissed me off. And I honestly think, like, this is what bubbled up for me. I'm like, I think that the people within these organizations actually believe that they're smarter than the average person. And that is their biggest liability. That's their biggest fault, is they actually believe that they're more intelligent. And they believe they can pull these fast ones on people by lying directly to their face, either with direct lies or with like these really weird fugazi moves by just like comparing two things that don't deserve to be compared, as if you're not smart enough to figure that out. And then I sat there and I started to think, well, why do they believe that? They obviously know that in a internet era, when people have access to information and are more intelligent than they ever used to be and are more literate than they ever used to be, like, obviously they're going to see through these things. And I thought to myself, like, wow, that's because these are like big boys clubs. These are institutions where once you get in, you're like one of the big boys and you're finally an insider. And all the information is being passed to you from generations and generations and generations that preceded you. And ultimately what you're actually getting is like access to this special boys club. And that boys club is telling you, like, the first thing they do is they step you into this little room and they light up a cigar and they go, oh, these fucking people are so retarded. Like, these people don't know what they're doing. Like, this is all you have to do. And I know that sounds very conspiracy kind of like, tinfoily, but I actually believe it isn't like they're sitting there and having that exact conversation, but it's like within the culture and ethos. It's like that funny. Have you guys ever worked for like a large corporation? Like that's what it's like. Like sometimes these large corporations, the moment you work for them, it's like the the boys club kind of vibe. And you start to learn like these are the rules. These are the way things are done. And it's been that way since 1655, as I was saying in the group chat, because like, okay, we're going to leave England. We're going to do this. When we go to America, it's going to be like this. And it's still the same thinking with people that they think are illiterate. They literally think that these people are illiterate, that we, the citizens, are illiterate, and that we don't know any better. Like that's my only explanation for how they can try to pass such obvious lies and stupidity.
Wait, hold up.
Past us.
Why do you think it's that they think we're stupid as opposed to like they just realize that they're a part of a system that we have no power over and they're just like they don't care?
Ooh, hold on. I actually want to build on Armand's point. I want to go down the tinfoil path because I know that Gary is smarter than the average person. I know he is. He taught a fucking class about this. Like he knows this shit.
Yeah.
And then he plays dumb. Like he's playing it dumb. So there has to be something nefarious or sinister going on.
100%.
Right. So like I'm wondering what are your incentives then? Because it's obvious
But he's not doing it because he thinks we're stupid and he's tricking us. He's doing it because he recognizes that he's a power player in a system that's going to impose its will on us, and they can do whatever the fuck they want because like they're like, who cares? Like they don't care if they know. They don't care if we know. They don't care if we see exactly what they're doing because they know it doesn't matter because like they have the power. And I think that's probably more.
So that's
of what
the conversation. Yeah, that's the conversation then, where it's like it's not that they think we're dumb necessarily. It's just him trying to maintain the power that he currently has.
It'd be super interesting to be like a fly on the wall and see how like Elizabeth Warren and Gary and like Larry and Elizabeth just are all in a room, like, and how all of their interests are converging here, right? Because
they definitely are.
Especially Elizabeth and Larry were.
I think Elizabeth
very
is the
opposed.
daddy, by the way. She's like, Gary, let me see your fucking statement. Yeah, this is not good. She redlines it. She includes the statement.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, she's doing the spanking.
Come here, Gary. Come here.
Whoa, that's a new voice. Whoa. The real question, like, they're not taking an L here. That's, I think, the thing to also realize. Like, these things are very house of cards. You really have to observe things through that house of cards lens. Like, right now, crypto is looking at this saying, like, this is a big W for crypto, but, like, they would not have allowed this to happen and taken an L if it wasn't in some shape or form also an incentive that is fruitful for I don't even know what to call it, for them. Let's just say for them.
I think, like, Elizabeth Warren was using this as a power play for her, and she, like, Gary was kind of her puppet, right? But Elizabeth Warren is a puppet to, like, Larry Fink. Like, once BlackRock decides it's in BlackRock's interest to do that, Elizabeth doesn't matter anymore, right? Like, once, like, the best thing for Elizabeth Warren was when crypto is this, like, little niche industry that nobody was caring about. Once the big dogs realize, like, oh, there's a lot of money here, and we can kind of control this and
but
run
the
things.
big dogs
and
knew
make
that
bank.
for a long time. Why suddenly did they get the leverage?
No, like they didn't. Like there's like a critical point where they go like, oh, okay, like this is
mature
time.
enough.
And if they did this,
Is it
like,
about maturity?
Yeah, size, maturity. And if they announced in July, right, it probably means they were thinking about it last bull market, right? But they may have thought about it in the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021.
I'm sure they did.
But even in the beginning of 2021, they probably took a step back and they were like, this is some real fucked shit right now. We're not getting involved in this, right?
I have to
But then
say,
as soon as everything blew up, they're probably like, all right, this is our time to swoop in. Let's get the gears turning.
I have to say, given the amount of fraud, generally speaking, in the industry, and the amount of things that like completely went bust and rugged, and how many people got hurt in crypto at the end of the last cycle, as Steven exactly described, that was the most painful end to a cycle. I'm surprised. I'm blown away. Like from that side of things, I'm blown away.
Wait, but hold on. Isn't this the cycle of how it always works? Like, doesn't a new thing come into existence? There's a new industry. And then because it moves fast, people break things and then fraudsters take over and they crush people. And what happens? Politicians or like entrenched like financial interests come in and they go like, we can protect you.
We can protect you.
Just pass these laws and give us the keys, and then everything will be fine. This always happens. This is the same thing that's happening with crypto right now.
Yeah.
That's always happened. So it's kind of par for the course, right?
Yeah. It's a great day.
I'm here for the I'm
It's a
here from the
great day.
government. I'm here to help.
It's a great day, but I love thinking about what's going on.
But they
guys.
can't like take it, right? Like this is the point that I like about you brought up earlier. It's like, would Satoshi be rolling in his grave or her grave or whatever? I don't think so, because at the end of the day,
I don't think so either.
like at the end of the day, for Bitcoin to become
This was
global
the
money
goal.
or whatever, like it has to go mainstream,
It has
right?
to go mainstream.
I think people don't realize how early we are in the narrative. Like I think people think we're in like the 5th inning right now, and we're like kind of halfway through, and then they're gonna fight us and it's over. We're in the 1st inning. Like we could be 30 years from now, and then there's this like Bitcoin or crypto like gains like a ton of power. People are using it. There's an actual like thing going on between government money and crypto money, and then there's this like concerted effort for government to like actually take over Bitcoin, probably not through force, but with some sort of social consensus. Like we haven't even scratched the surface of what might happen like 10 or 20 or 30 years from now.
Instead of the innings framework, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I saw something from Raoul Paul that I actually tracked for me. Most of the stuff does not make sense to me. It doesn't like compute in my brain.
I've kind of come around to Raoul Paul a little bit. He's been like kind of correct more than some of the other talking heads.
So he mentioned something that like,
even though I don't want to say that.
if you bought,
I think
you know,
anyone that sticks their neck out there, by the way, as a trader or anything like that, deserves grace.
okay.
Yeah,
That's my view.
I agree.
Well said.
That's mostly. I'm in defense of my friend.
Yeah,
Steve.
we don't know him personally, but if you bought Bitcoin when it first came out, you were a Series A investor, maybe a seed investor. You know, maybe in 2015 you're a Series B, 2017 you're a Series C, and maybe in the last cycle you're a Series D investor. And I kind of like that framework, you know. And this is the version of the IPO, and you can see many technologies that, you know, go IPO and then continue to evolve and grow, you know, from there. And so this is the IPO. So if you were in here before that point, you were in pre-IPO. And I think with ETH, you know, you're probably a few stages earlier. And so I like that framework.
I
Rather
like
than
that.
framework.
That's an interesting way to think about it. So
Yeah.
we've all just been in the. So some of us were we were like angels
Yeah.
for Bitcoin.
You're
Some
the
of us
seed
got in the
investor.
seed round.
Yeah.
Our mom was like a Series B maybe.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. What date time we talking? What are we talking about? I'm definitely an angel.
All right.
Angels 2009.
Okay, no, I'm pre-seed.
Okay.
I'm pre-seed.
We're talking to Satoshi here.
All right.
last question to wrap this up. Are you guys going to buy any of the Bitcoin ETFs?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So Eric says yes. Are you going to buy it in your normal trading account, in a retirement account, or you can use trade options on it?
All the above. You know, I have like Grayscale. I have the Grayscale GBTC, and I'll be looking to rotate out of that into a cheaper version, like tomorrow.
Okay. Same amount?
Yeah, and you know, I think there's still a lot of people, like my clients included, who like don't. Crypto's not even on their radar. You know, like rich people, a lot of them old, don't understand or give a fuck, but they will, and like it's only a matter of time. They're like, hey, do you know anything about crypto? I'm like, well, yes, I do.
All right, Armand, you going to buy any of these ETFs or use them in your portfolios?
Yeah, I don't see the purpose of like buying them for my just like through my general brokerage accounts where there's no tax advantage.
Right.
So like retirement accounts with tax advantage, like purposes where I want to shift a little bit more toward crypto in those areas. Yeah, but I'm not doing options or anything like that. So what's the point of, like, I'd rather own the real thing directly.
In the retirement account.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I like that move. I'm in the same boat, so I'll probably throw it in the retirement
So
account.
do you guys know? I can't remember off the top of my head. Do you know which ETF has the lowest cost?
There's a bunch that are at 0.
I think they're at like 0 initially.
Yeah.
0 for the first 6 months.
Yeah, but I think like
Yeah.
20 basis points.
I think like Van X at 20 basis points. That's the lowest, and
Yeah.
then
They're all
pretty good.
basically just like loss leading.
that
It's
was
pretty
fascinating.
good.
They're
dirt
making no money.
cheap.
that's
to
dirt
me.
cheap.
Yeah.
They're kind of like
It's
racing to the
incredible.
bottom. BlackRock, reduce theirs to they start with a 0 and then they go to 25 basis points.
Fidelity has one, right?
Yeah.
Does Vanguard have one?
No, Vanguard.
Vanguard is opted out.
They're not going to be.
But they're all kind of like
they
the
don't wanna
same,
play?
right? They're all the same except for Grayscale's at
Too good for us.
1.5%.
Vanguard no one to play?
And Grayscale will they will make the most money.
Yeah, because there's
Kinda
people that
funny.
are like such low cost basis, they can't take the cap gain, so they'll just stay.
Yeah.
Steven, are you going to buy any of the Bitcoin ETFs?
I am, but I was actually thinking about this, and what I realized is that I'm actually way more motivated to buy an ETH ETF than a Bitcoin ETF. And
Why?
the reason is because I have so many proxies for Bitcoin. I can buy miners, I can buy MicroStrategy. What do you buy if you want exposure to ETH? Like, there's nothing. So I almost feel like there's this weird scenario where, like, on a relative basis to sort of like the market cap, like ETH gets actually a surprisingly high amount of flows because a lot of people in TradFi can already kind of get exposure to Bitcoin. Nobody can get exposure to ETH. Like, what do you buy? You buy Coinbase?
Yeah, I think all the brokers,
Yeah,
investment
Coinbase.
advisors, they're going to start their due diligence now, tomorrow. When they realize it's trading, they'll start doing their due diligence. They'll hear the pitches from the wholesalers of these ETFs. They'll take that, they'll talk with their clients, and we'll have about 6 months maybe before an ETH ETF starts to come to the surface. And
6 months.
Yeah, 5 months, 6 months. And, they might be a little warm to the idea. And advisors will have already had the conversation with some clients about what crypto is, what Bitcoin is, and maybe they'll be a little more receptive to it when it comes, not only the fact that there's no other proxies to play, but the fact that they're warmed up to it. Maybe they hold 2% of their portfolio in Bitcoin. It might be a faster adoption for the ETH ETF.
So just so we're clear, because there's a lot of questions in the chat about this, like they're wondering, is there a better version to buy or not buy? I think cost is the main concern here because all these things hold spot Bitcoin. So it's like a commoditized offering. It's the same. They all hold the same thing. So like,
Unless you're a whale and you need tight spreads.
well, then you probably go with BlackRock. But like for most people, it doesn't really matter. Go with the cheapest one. And like, all these things will perform on a percentage basis. Like in terms of returns, they will be the same minus cost.
They might all trade a penny too. Like, which
I
is
think they'll all
crazy.
be very tight spreads.
Yeah, so-
Yeah, and I wonder what they're going to be priced at, like what the dollar value of the ETF will be,
like
because that will
the unit bias.
the unit bias will fuck
they're
with people's
smart. They'll
heads
follow the bonk model.
and just issue like a
5
guerrillion
cents.
shares.
You might have to
No.
buy like 1,000 IBTC. You
No,
know,
because
Everybody
like
loves
to,
that.
to be listed on the NASDAQ or NYSE, you actually have to be like above a certain dollar number per share.
wow, how backward looking is that?
Yeah.
They like really don't get the future. What a leak.
I like it.
Anyway,
Cool. Well,
you wanna?
where do we want to go, sir? Armand, I'm looking to
Ooh.
you. We have
Let's talk about.
we have a bunch of stuff in the group
wait.
chat that showed up from the week.
Have you guys like taken a step back and realized what an insane year it's been?
How insane, Steve.
Like already?
Tell
Like,
me how
we're
insane.
9 days into the year, 10 days into the
Oh,
year.
in that perspective,
Like what is
it's
happening?
been a hot.
We've had an
um,
SEC fake
a hot internet.
announcement followed by like an actual approval of BTF.
It's been a lot.
Elon is
We're gonna
trolling
try to
Mark
cover some of it.
Cuban
We're
for
gonna try to
like
cover some of it.
like not having like a small Asian playing.
You trying
for
to
the
give me the
Mavericks.
meta of how big it's been? It's
Yeah.
been big. It's
We
been big.
we blew a door off an airplane like last week and discovered that apparently
know
like
about
all
that
the
one.
airplanes could just have all their doors blow off.
Didn't
There's
like that.
secret Jewish tunnels in New York. Bill
know that one
Ackman's
either.
going scorched earth on all of academia. I mean, there's like a lot of
I mean, welcome to life 3.0. Cameras and social
everything's
media
moving so
everywhere.
fast now. It's like I can't even
It's
keep up.
not.
Did you know that Elon has his own podcast now? By the way, like somebody made a podcast just about Elon and the stuff that's happening with Elon.
like about him?
Yeah, like just to keep up with like all of like the business. and
He's
the
an
things
active
he's doing.
individual.
Yeah,
He's active.
And it's kind of funny. Like when we would, I feel like every week we come here, it's just like, well, Elon did these 3 things. We're just like, God, we can't fucking talk about that all the time.
He's got a crazy mind. He's rapid fire, hyperactive mind who just like reacts to everything in front of him, and he's very good at it.
Oh,
So it just creates a lot of content.
wait, there were also aliens in Miami.
Okay, can we just pick one, Steven?
Snowden tweeted that the nuclear codes were
So-
apparently 0000.
Wait, what?
And he replied
In a
on
reply to Ansem,
who's a crypto
the Solana
influencer. He's like,
crypto
what?
guy.
Hold
Like,
on.
Snowden casually pops into his replies.
Hold
and
on.
is like,
Explain that one fully. Snowden said the nuclear codes are 0000.
yeah, so Ansem, I forgot what Ansem tweeted, but it was something like about the world or something, how wild. And like Snowden pops in, he's like, "You think that's crazy? The nuclear launch codes were 0000."
And Ansem's a fucking Solana trader. Like,
Oh boy. All right, let's
mean-
keep it on. Let's keep it on with
What
Elon.
I mean? I also forgot Stephen Hawking was apparently at Epstein's Island, and that gave us some great memes.
Well, I sent you guys some memes that I would I would not show.
Some of the best memes.
Shocker of the
No,
century.
those memes were bad. Those memes were good. I mean,
What do you think he went with? I think he went with earlobe rubs.
I can't have that.
Don't make me do
conversation.
my
sorry.
Stephen
Yeah.
Hawking.
I
Don't make
literally
me do my
can't.
Stephen Hawking
I
impression.
literally can't have that conversation.
All right.
I know who can do an impersonation. Dave Chappelle. He did one on his latest special. So, what about this Cuban and Elon going back and forth on X about DEI? It's been a really good little discussion of watching billionaires fight in public.
Yeah, there's a lot of billionaires fighting in public these days.
Well, Zuck kind of like, got bored or maybe got beat and went away. So Elon
he
picked
started
a new,
cattle farming in
Zuck
Hawaii.
is
Yeah.
farming Wagyu. and
Yeah.
He's growing back.
That looked like something that looked like satire. That post looked like satire.
He's flexing on us so hard. We're in the middle of a populist uprising, and he's like, "I've just planted a massive macadamia orchard to feed my Wagyu cattle.
Wagyu and Angus cattle.
They eat beer and
15,000
They drink beer.
they drink
These
beer
cows
and eat
drink
macadamia
beer.
nuts.
It's on like Kauai, right? Or Maui.
Yeah,
He
Kauai.
lives in Kauai. He's got cows running around that drink beer and macadamia
And he just slaughters them and eats them.
and slaughters them and takes a picture of
He
it.
probably chokes them out himself.
He's got like
with his
3
fucking
ribeyes and a
beef.
tomahawk in the picture.
I could still
and
take
he's
him.
just like, look at me now.
He probably is on his little like what's the
That little
thing, the
wakeboard
water?
thing?
Yeah, his little wakeboard thing. He probably
his-
is like has them running alongside on the beach, and he's surfing, and he jumps off and just
With his
strangles them.
SPF 200 on.
Yeah, he's all like white ghost
Zinked
face
up.
and just chokes out his
Zuck
cows.
opted out of the fight, and Cuban was like, okay, wait a second. This is a way to get some more clout as I just fight Elon as the next billionaire in line. And they've been going back and forth constantly. I have to give it up to Cuban, though. Like, he's getting absolutely hammered by people that lean Elon and lean, against what Cuban is proposing. And he is taking it and showing up and taking it and showing up. And he just keeps tweeting. And he's doing it in a very just sort of like understanding and emotionally intelligent way. Like, people completely disagree with his takes, but every time he shows back up on the platform to tweet again, he's emotionally intelligent about it. Like, he shows up and he's like, that was interesting. I really appreciate. Oh, here it is. Are you showing this, Jimmy? So I have to say that I'll read this out for people that aren't watching. I have to say that over the last 24 hours, I found X to be a warm and welcoming. The diversity of responses in both tone and content has been heartwarming. I did have to block one account with a large number of followers, but beyond that, I appreciate all the engagement. Like, and this is, by the way, this is January 9th. This is yesterday. This is after getting absolutely beaten down by people for like a week straight. It says a lot to me. It says a lot.
Yeah, so I forget exactly what Elon tweeted, but Mark Cuban kind of responded saying that, like, I think DEI is actually good, but he did it in a very specific way. He was saying that he wants to look for candidates in under, I don't know. He wants to look for them in places where they're not normally found. He's not saying what I think most people think of DEI, which is we're going to look for a specific type of person based on race or sex or orientation and hire someone. He's not saying that. He's just saying, well, if you're not looking in underlooked places, that's going to be my gain. And then Elon, I think, commented back, well, then I'm sure you won't mind having a 5'4" Asian woman as a guard on the.
I mean, I was actually trying to. This is like me checking the chain. Like I was trying to figure out where this even started. And I guess like Elon responded to some posts by this Twitter account that I muted because it's so fucking annoying. Ed Krasenstein. Do you have that guy in the? I think there's like these two brothers. I think they're like just propaganda outlets. Actually, I think they're like basically like pseudo state-run media, and they just tweet these like awful, weird, terrible talking point things. So I just like muted them, so I didn't even see the tweet. But it was a tweet about DEI, and Elon said, discrimination on the basis of race, which DEI does, is literally the definition of racism. And then Cuban jumped in.
But there's nuance there.
And then this kind of just went off the rails.
Yeah, that's basically what did it.
Yeah.
And Cuban is trying to get into this nuance of like, you guys don't get it. I'm trying to create a wider pool of candidates, and everyone is arguing semantics of like equality versus equity and speaking past one another. It's an interesting conversation, though.
Well, I think I kind of don't slap down Mark Cuban on his take, because what I get beef with is where you implement these guardrails on based upon race or sex or orientation, and you're saying this is what we're only going to look for. And Harvard,
Correct.
with Claudine Gay said we are going to put some guardrails on exactly what we're going to look for.
Yeah, they're filling a quota.
Yeah.
You nailed it, Nick. So I think he even mentioned like with his job with the Mavs, they're trying to identify talent that's like overlooked. So he's like, we got Luka Doncic from fucking Slovenia or whatever, like not Duke and North Carolina University where like the best basketball players come from. You got to go to where they're not looking, and I think that makes sense.
That makes sense in
he has
theory,
done a good job
but it doesn't
of
make
that.
any fucking sense.
He also got
in
dunked
reality.
on like why he has an overwhelmingly white team all the time. Like, it's always been that way. And then he got dunked on for his comment that he made like, oh, God, this was a long time ago, like 10 years ago, when he was like, if I saw a black guy in a hoodie walking down the street toward me, I would move to the other side of the street.
Yeah.
And then Elon pulled that up, kind of a cheap move because everyone already knows that.
No, but
take
it's
from
not
him.
a cheap move because
No,
he
but
said it
let
in
me-
a
let me-
self-flagellating way, right?
He did, but then he was like, "Oh, I see now why you feel so guilty, and you're such a proponent of DEI, because you're still making up for the guilt you feel from that racist comment you made." And he just went, "Mark Cuban is racist."
No,
he just called him a racist.
No, that's not what's like.
That's what happened.
No. Cuban didn't think he was racist because he said he would.
Cuban did not
walk
think
to
he was racist. I agree with that.
Right.
He thought he was speaking in an honest way, and he still like defended himself. Yeah.
I think Elon is right though that there's this segment of people who have this weird like chronic guilt about being like
But
a male.
Cuban was
or
not one of
being,
those
like-
people.
No, he was. That's why he was saying that thing. The only reason you would get up in front of a bunch of people and just be like, I feel, I would cross the street like if I saw a black kid in a hoodie. Like it's because you're like doing some confession of sins. That's what that is. Like if you didn't feel guilt and you're that, like whatever, like you just like wouldn't even say that. So he was saying that at that moment because he was already disposed to have this sort of like, kind of like white guilt sort of thing that people do.
Okay, you're saying that was said, even though that was 10 years ago or whatever that was said at a time where he was already trying to virtue signal, essentially.
I don't even know if it's about virtue signaling. I don't even know if I like that term here. It's like it's sometimes
not
okay,
that
but it's
term here, but it's like-
it's
You're what you said. You're saying it was that. It wasn't just like this racist comment.
this whole idea of like the whole like anti-racism thing or all this. It resonates with like a bunch of people. Like Shelby Steele wrote this book like White Guilt, which is a really good book, which dives into this topic. It's like there's like a segment of people who like actually like internalize like all of this guilt for stuff that they didn't do, and they're like taking in like the what's happened in society, and like they're putting it on them like, oh, I'm a part of this, and they feel this need to go out in the world and like confess those sins and to make good on those sins that they didn't exactly commit.
Do you think Larry Fink has that issue? Because the same day we're like,
No, I think Larry Fink just likes money.
But no, but his stance on ESG and DEI, and he has a famous speech in 2017 where he says, "No, we will use our assets under management to change behavior." And he was talking specifically in the context of hiring based upon race and sex. And to me, that is not someone who speaks money. Because do you want to own shares in a company that does not hire people solely based on merit? I don't. I know I don't want to fly in a plane for an airline that chooses pilots.
That's the thing
not
today
based on merit.
Twitter. They're all going at him for that.
It's
like United Airlines process.
I think it's wrong.
Okay,
actually,
so, but why would he do that? He is a pure capitalist. He is a very wealthy man. He's clearly smart. Why would he go down this road of using his money to kind of push people? Is it guilt? Is it something else? Is it just
that's what
virtue
Elon's
signaling?
saying. It's like it's guilt.
There's this thing that happens with some people where it's almost like Dunning-Kruger, but with this, like where you hit some, like in the middle, nobody does this, like, and everybody's kind of capitalist. It's like when everybody's like super poor, like a lot of people are sort of like socialist,
totally
communist,
happens with super
and
rich
then when people are like moderately wealthy, they're all like all conservative. But then people get like uber wealthy, they go like George Soros status, and then like suddenly they go full communist again.
Yeah,
like
they
there's
do.
like this weird thing that happens with some people where they like get like such uber levels of fuck you money that they actually just completely go the other way, and
I see that.
they're just wearing the costume that they had on when they had no money, and they were a victim, and they looked at society that way. Like that's what it basically becomes. They're feeling a certain level of guilt for their position, and they want to represent their former selves and their old thinking, and they remove and discard all of the evolution of their thinking that allowed them to reach that place in life, wealth and success in the first place. That's basically what happens. They go full circle.
Do you think people just go like post economics, and then when they're post economics, they stop thinking about money, and they're like, what am I doing, and what is like the purpose of everything, and like they just start thinking about their.
That does happen, and as a result of that happening, I think they kind of have a regression back to their old selves, like before they were post economics.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
you think Mark Cuban was a commie bastard before, and now he's. I'm just kidding.
I think every young person like kind of has this revolutionary, anarchistic commie bastard in them.
It's all
like that's where. It
well,
all
we know
kinda
you
starts.
were a commie bastard for sure.
I know you were the great commie bastard. Of all.
You were a bigger commie bastard than I was.
You told me you were the biggest commie bastard.
you
literally said I was a Marxist. Armand.
I didn't say I was a
I
Marxist.
said my name is
I
Steven
said
Cesaro.
I really liked Bernie
I was
Sanders.
formerly a Marxist. That was one of the first things he said when he met us.
By the way, I forget.
I feel like this is like a telephone game kind of thing,
the
but we'll move on.
The first time that Eric and Steven met, there was like a brutal,
they literally
violent
could not
argument
agree.
about minimum wage.
Minimum
and I just
wage.
I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it now, but I forget who was on which side of the
We
argument.
should.
I
Get
was
into
on
it.
the anti-minimum wage.
Oh,
Yeah,
you were on the
it
pro.
would shock you. It would probably shock you.
Okay. All right. Noted.
What do you mean you don't want to get into it? Let's get into it. at
No.
some
We're
point.
not going to get
What
off
was
track on
shocking
that.
was
Great.
how offended Eric was about it.
And I was like, wow, I just introduced two friends. This is not going well.
It was not going well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hoping one day we could start a podcast together.
I mean, I looked at that and I saw a podcast. That's basically what happened. I was like, I'm inviting you. I'm inviting you.
Can we just maybe acknowledge how much power X has in the world? Because like the things that you've mentioned, Steven, that's happened to date in 2024, where we talked about this flub with the Bitcoin ETF launch. We talked about this battle about DEI, especially Bill Ackman about these university presidents, and also about DEI, and then his wife's own plagiarism. They've all happened in this one common public space. And
Dude, X is on fire.
Yes, but it cannot find a way to make fucking
Doesn't
money.
matter. X is on fire.
It's transcendent
X has
capitalism.
the
It's just
most
like
insane
it's just a thing that we
product
need.
market fit. Dude, Kathy Wood was on there doing a live today. Everything gets announced on there first. Everyone goes there first. The SEC goes there. X is actually, everyone wants society to believe that it's a nothing platform that has lost 75% of its valuation after Elon Musk acquired it, and that it's dead and it's never coming back. The opposite is actually true. It's more alive
But
than
it
ever.
doesn't make money. How is that
So
possible?
it truly
is
doesn't
Elon in the
matter.
black on his what was a $40 billion investment? Is he actually profitable on that at this point today?
No,
you think?
no.
I feel if you
Not
factor
at
in
all.
like relevance and impressions
I
of
think
yourself into
absolutely.
it, he's way
It
up.
depends how you measure that.
Well, like if
He's
this
like the
thing was
main
a
character of
publicly
the world
traded
now.
stonk today, like what's trading at $40 billion? Like a bunch of junk.
bunch of junk. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's so powerful now.
It is so
It's
powerful.
at this point almost a public good, right? Where like
Maybe that's
maybe
a
it
better
doesn't
way
matter
to,
that it
yeah.
doesn't make money. It's just there.
But that is what he said. He said, I bought it because it is a public good. He literally said
yeah, but he
that.
reached out to Larry Ellison and be like, "Hey, put $2 billion in this. You're gonna make some money."
Well, I mean,
And Larry
When you
Ellison's
have
like,
Make
that-
some money.
he's like,
Disappear.
hey, is $1 billion enough? He's like, I would do $2 billion. You know, just to be really sure you got enough. I mean,
I feel like he's
Anyway.
gonna have the last laugh in all of this. I feel like it's gonna somehow come around and he'll
it's a
somehow-
long game. Everyone's judging it based on this short period afterward where there's all this froth, and he laid off 70% of the workforce.
and it still doesn't make money. It's one of the worst platforms ever to buy ads. It's disgustingly
I
bad.
think that's actually to their benefit that people don't want to advertise there anymore. I think that advertising on there was stupid in the first place, as you just said. It wasn't like as an advertiser, you don't look at that as like, ooh, we're gonna get a great ROAS on Twitter, do you? Like,
That's the only way we would give them money is if
but
we
you
had a
don't.
great return on our
but
ad
you
spend.
don't, so you never did. And it's a platform. It's not for performance marketers, right? It's
Yeah.
for brand
Marketing.
It's brand marketing.
They don't want to
corporate.
advertise on it. It's ridiculous.
It is like going back in time to like 1999 internet. Like people are just spraying money on impressions. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Does it convert? Probably not. In crypto,
like Coca-Cola.
everything is a scam. Like if I tweet anything, like I like 1,600 followers. Like if I tweet anything, like 9,000 like airdrop scams in my comments, like immediately. Like everything in crypto, there's just like 100 million like airdrop scams. Like everything is just like a scam. It feels cool. It's nostalgic. It's like being on the internet again. Like in the old days before they started protecting us from everything, where everything was a scam and like
Yep.
everybody was trying to remove you from your money. And sure, that's bad in a lot of ways. But it also gives you like a thick skin. It like
Dude.
makes you like resilient, you know?
This app needs 1 or 2 verticals to work out of the 15 verticals that he wants to be within this one everything app, and it will be worth more than it was ever worth before. If he just gets payments right and becomes like a good Venmo, and if he just gets like messaging right, no one wants to DM on X. It's
Hold on,
junk.
hold on.
It's all spam.
Just a
in
quick
there.
aside. What did we say that Ripple market cap is right now?
32 billion.
Right, like, and Twitter's not.
So he
for
just
it.
needs a token.
Yeah, but crypto market caps are they're like fantasy shit, you know?
If Elon launched a fucking token, it would be top 3 in
There you go.
CoinGecko.
And
immediately.
There you
Vibes
go.
in the chat says they just need a token. That's it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
if X had a token, oh my god. Oh my god. I mean, you
You
can do a token, right? It's like a private company. Do what he wants with it
Oh, totally.
to a degree.
Could absolutely.
Gary, you can stamp
might
that.
adopt Doge.
All right, where are we going to go with this?
Don't make me go that way.
Should we?
Wait. Can we talk about the billionaires thing again? Because like
Yeah.
I feel like it's so interesting how we have this weird billionaires arc now. Like because I feel like years ago, billionaires were sort of like evil to like most people, and they still are to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
But like we had government to protect us from the billionaires, right? Like we had government to we had Teddy Roosevelt with his fucking big stick, like bashing down, he was trust busting, and Standard Oil, and Rockefeller was a bad dude, and JP Morgan was a bad dude. All these guys are bad. And now we're in like this society where I feel like we have like the billionaires protecting us from government. I am personal. Like earlier in this podcast, I was a bit of an Elon skeptic, right? But I've come to like him. Like I've come to see him now as like my protector in a particular way.
First of all, you were more than a skeptic.
I love this.
Okay.
Right
Please don't do this.
Yeah.
There were
Receipts.
so many
There are receipts
episodes. So many episodes.
But I'm
where
still
you and I
skeptical
went
of
at this.
Elon for all the things I said I was skeptical of. But he's like assumed this different role now, and like he's like, I find
No.
myself looking at him.
He still had all of that. He
No,
was
he did
doing all
not.
those things.
No.
Yeah, no.
No,
he
Elon
was
today
doing all
is
those-
not Elon of
my
2 years
exact
ago.
counterpoints to you at that time were these points that you're making
That's
today.
so ridiculous.
I just think you're jumping on the Armand train.
so
like
ridiculous.
that's all it really is. Like
so ridiculous.
everyone comes
Armand's
aboard.
He's
at
an
some
early adopter.
point. Like,
He was Coinbase at
dude,
$39 a share. He's an early
everyone
adopter.
hops on board
Armand
at some
just sat
point.
down and he was just like, guys, this Elon guy's so amazing.
That's all
Like,
it was.
I think we
Yeah.
really have a chance together. Like he returns all my DMs.
Receipts, bro. Receipts. Eric said it.
It's like a stripper
back to the
relationship.
tape.
He's like, no, he actually likes me.
I mean, Calcium will probably create a montage for you at some point.
But why
Armand
are
versus
you
Steven
coming
Early
around?
on.
Because why do you think he's
Yeah.
specifically the protector?
Because the man is standing up for humanity. The man is fighting for the people. It's that simple. He wants to be a man of the people. He is fighting and putting his dollars where like no one else is willing to do. Most people would have checked out and moved to a private island and never given a fuck about anything ever again. And this guy wants to be relevant and he wants to stand up for people and he wants to provide this public good.
Well
I
said,
think
Steven.
that's-
Yeah, I agree.
Couldn't have said it better myself. What's up, Tom Nom?
He just
I'm
moves
glad
on.
we agree.
He just moves on.
I'm glad that's basically what.
No, but seriously, like I actually find I think people just like Trump because he just punches the people they don't like in the face, and they're just people are just like, yeah, fuck those guys, and that's like the extent of it. That's literally like the whole calculus mostly. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of what I like
But
about
he
Elon.
does it in a better way to me.
Yeah, it's definitely better.
Elon is incredibly clever.
He's definitely smarter in a lot of
But
ways.
he punches
He's
the
just
right
very
people
clever.
in the face.
He's very clever.
Like that I think actually provide meaningful impact on society. He punches the
He
people.
uses the fewest words possible to give you a quip that
Okay,
hits
now
you
you're
in
now
the
you're
right
now you're
place.
deifying him too much.
No,
again.
no, no. Listen,
this is too much.
No, listen. His responses are short and they're quippy, and they hit hard and they're memorable. That's why that's why they're impactful. That's why you like them because it's like
sounds Trumpy.
nah. Well, actually, that is kind of Trumpy.
But he
That is
punches the
kinda
people,
Trump.
people in the
Exclamation
face who claim to, want are pro-environmentalists, but he that deny that Tesla is one of the best ways to like improve the environment. He punches people in the
Yes.
face who are pro DEI, but don't understand that they're hurting the same people they're trying to help by being in fact racist. He punches the people in the face who are saying, "Oh, we should not have primaries in the Democratic category, and we should put this other man off the ticket in the name of democracy." But they're hurting democracy by doing that, and those are the ones
It's
that haven't been
enlightening, bro.
punched in the face in a while, and I'm just glad he's doing it.
It's these phony, virtuous types.
He's calling out
He's illuminating
the, like,
and enlightening the people.
the massive irony that
Yeah.
that irks you as a person who is like tries to be somewhat thoughtful about the world and gets really pissed off when they see the just like massive amount of irony going on around them. Like looking around, is anyone else seeing what I'm seeing? And I'm glad he does it, probably mostly to the detriment of his net worth at some point.
We really need
Everything.
we really need Rizzy here right now to pull out his like notebook of Elon grievances.
Oh, I
And be
know.
like,
I know he
yes,
has
but,
a notebook.
It's like an old school scroll. He, like,
Oh yeah, he's got a
unfurls it.
whole.
I remember it was like a year ago. He was like, "Someday, brother, I will pull out that notebook and give you all the things this man
I
has
mean,
done."
I do think beyond a product person, beyond an engineer, he is a master public relations person.
Yes.
He's a master marketer.
Who is his own.
He's a good pumper.
He listens to himself. He doesn't have a PR.
Which is kind of
like
crazy to think about because he seems to be like Asperger's or something. You wouldn't think that he'd like be this.
he
awesome,
said he was
like-
on Saturday Night Live.
Right. You wouldn't think he'd be like this awesome like marketer guy who's like great at like public speaking and stuff. but it seems like that's his.
I think he's
great skill.
terrible at public
I
speaking.
don't think he's great at public speaking at all.
But I
Yeah.
do think he gets the idea of like a big show, and he's a presenter, and he does a great job.
I think that's his gift. I think his, Asperger's, as he admitted on Saturday Night Live, is his gift. That's his hyperactive mind that allows him to take in so much information. And, when he said, like, people think they want to be me, but they wouldn't want to be me, that's exactly what he's alluding to.
So there's another billionaire punching people in the faces, Bill Ackman of late. And if you don't know Bill Ackman, he's a hedge fund guy. He's an activist investor, so he's kind of used to using his money to push things around to get his way and enact change. And he was initially punching universities in the face for some of these university presidents and their kind of inaction on what was going on culturally on campuses. And he went on a plagiarism route with Claudine Gay, and it came out that his own wife had a plagiarism case. So is Bill Ackman a guy who you would want to join the posse with and join his cause, or is he someone that I don't know?
Well, I'm curious, how up to speed are you guys on the Ackman thing?
Well, I started with his vitriol towards Harvard and like that little cohort of universities. I'm not so up to speed on these, like on the plagiarism thing. To Nick's point, would I join his posse?
Platform is too fast.
I would join his investing posse. Guys,
dude.
Things are happening very fast. So
Killer value
I think it
investor.
was. I think it was last
I
week.
gotta run a business. It's crazy.
So last week, a Business Insider came out with a story that his wife, Neri Oxman, who is a former professor at MIT, former love interest of Brad Pitt, apparently plagiarized a few paragraphs from some of her dissertations. They were allegedly sort of like copy pastes of like definitions of words
From Wikipedia.
from Wikipedia, which
give me a
somewhat.
fucking break.
Well, I mean, you say that, but like also some of these, like, I don't. Do you guys remember being in college? Like the plagiarism shit was gnarly. Like it was
Meaning
like they
how
sat
much-
you down in a room. They like pulled a gun out in your head. They're like, "You will cite everything. You will quotes," and you're like, "Ah!" Like if you put a bracket instead of a parenthesis, they were like gone into the pit.
God.
The amount that I plagiarized was gnarly.
That was crazy.
I don't know how we're going to use that clip, but we're going to use that clip of what you just did, and I just want to mention that to Calcium Bagel.
Yeah,
please.
I always thought that like this full like academia tard thing was just so absurd to begin with, and like what we're talking about here is like, did she not put a fucking parentheses semicolon bullshit or
Yes,
whatever?
bullshit.
It's like I don't care. Like, does anybody care?
Yeah, I'm with Eric. Like, what?
But do you care? I mean, do you
definitions?
care about Claudine Gay?
Well, like if
Sure.
if she was in the bibliography doing the correct standard, then that would be fine, right? Right?
She wasn't.
Well, I mean, what happened?
She
here,
wasn't, but
well,
if she was, then that would be okay. If she
So-
did the fucking parentheses correctly.
So Bill went hard on Claudine, right, and basically forced her out.
Yeah,
and
but,
then
but
they
that
came after
wasn't
his wife.
that wasn't what he was going hard after her for initially. I mean, he was going after her for DEI stuff.
I think the
He's
point,
going after her for Israel, really,
Yes.
which I think is this is like an interesting thing because it's like an intersection of things I like and things I don't like, and I'm like, I like this, I don't want, but and so I kind of like some of the things he's doing, but I think he's doing them for the wrong reasons, so I don't like them.
Exactly. Like his whole thing is about Israel versus Palestine. That's like his main issue.
I mean, I think so. Yeah.
everything else is just like tools to get his issue.
So I like
forward.
I like that he's punching people in the face and he's punching the right people in the face, but I think he's caught up in a war of words now, and he's a little backwards, right? Like he's taking down Claudine Gay over plagiarism, and then now he's like, well, now that my wife's been accused, what exactly is plagiarism? Like, should we define it? And maybe it's more of a
true.
spectrum than like this thing that happens. And I think he has a little ego in it. I mean, what billionaire doesn't have an ego? And so I don't know. I find he's found himself off the path in a wrong path, and he's quite wrong
anybody
the
who
direction
goes
he's going.
like, anybody who goes into a fight throwing punches is happy to throw them, and then when you get them back at you, you're kind of like,
he
wait,
took
what?
this
He's like, how dare you come after my wife?
Yeah, so he says that. He says, like, one of his retorts was like, well, I thought that in business and the world, you don't go after family members. But she herself is a public figure. She's been on other podcasts.
It's been on Lex.
Yeah, she's been on Lex. So
If you've been on Lex Friedman, I mean, you are sort of a public figure.
I mean, huge, right? Huge.
Yeah. And then, like, a lot of his shtick was, like, they released this at, like, 5 p.m. on a Friday, and my wife is a Jew, and you know what that means. Like, and it's just like, all right. Like, so he's, like, kind of pulling this. And
Victim card, huh?
I kind of agree with him on that point that, like, I don't know how long her piece was, but I'm sure it was, hundreds of pages.
they gave her, like, an hour to respond.
Yeah,
which
an
is a
hour's
little
not good
messed
enough.
up.
You wait till the next day, give her a full day to respond. And she even apologized. So, like, I did plagiarize. I apologize. And
Well, she was like, yeah, I'm sorry. And he's just like, 9 million word tweet. Like, have you seen these tweets?
Dude, I don't read
They're the
those
longest
tweets.
I opened up one of the
They're
tweets to read.
ridiculous.
I was scrolling and I was like, oh my
Dude,
God.
that's a chapter of
Oh
a
my
book.
God. It's longer than a chapter. It's literally an entire book.
No,
Yeah.
I tried to make it pretty clear. I don't care.
It's so
okay, so I actually don't care about the plagiarism stuff, but I do like the PR playbook as a topic.
Yeah.
So he goes after Claudine Gay for plagiarism, wins. Quick gotcha comes up. Oh, by the way, your wife plagiarized. Oh shit. Instead of taking the back foot, he takes a playbook out of Trump's and says, doesn't apologize, doesn't retreat one step, and just goes on the full offensive. He goes, well, to ease everyone's burden, instead of having these one-offs, why don't we just check everyone's work at MIT and all universities and make sure that everyone hasn't plagiarized, including the board and all these professors. I mean, kind of a sick PR move.
Yeah, he's going scorched earth. Yeah, he said he's going to basically use AI
Yeah,
to
use
analyze the writings of every single
he's like,
person
"I'm
who
gonna
exists
reveal
in
all of you."
academia.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Yeah.
which, and
I
this is
don't
why
know.
I'm
Can
torn.
I ask, like, what does it all mean, like, to you guys? This whole thing, though, like, I don't find the TMZ aspects of it as interesting. I find the more like, what does it?
There are a lot of
signify?
interesting undertones.
Give me the
here, right?
undertones.
Okay, so there's one undertone that's kind of spicy,
Like, is
and
this
I don't know if you want to take it in
justice
this.
culture, maybe like year of justice, happening. Like, there's a lot of that.
So
lately.
I think what's under this is like sort of like an Israel thing. And I don't know if you want to delve into that, but like I kind of feel like this is like an Israel thing underneath it all. And there's this thing about Israel that like I'm personally uncomfortable with, which is that like Israel is like a powerful interest in the U.S. and we are fed like a very warped view of what happens in the Middle East. And then if you criticize Israel, like the perception to me is like it's like how I feel when I say things and people are like, that's racist. That's racist. Like everything's fucking racist. When you criticize anything about Israel, like everything is fucking anti-Semitic. And you're like, whoa, hold on. Some of it probably is, but some of it isn't. And like this is like an example of in a realm where he's trying to go scorched earth, and he's like, you can't, like, my wife is Israeli, blah blah blah, and it's just like, well, and it rubs me the wrong
How
way.
dare you
because,
talk to her on
like,
a Friday evening, or like ask her?
yeah,
anything.
like I want to be intellectually consistent because these things bother me when people are just like, everything is racism, everything is sexism, everything is transphobia, everything is thisism. You're like, Jesus Christ, like, can I comment on everything, right? And then like, so you observe that here, and you observe that there is like an out of whack power structure here for sure. And then like, I also perceive the situation in a particular way, and I'm not, it's not like I'm just like full on board, like sympathetic to the Palestinian plight or something, but I'm trying to be like an impartial observer and take the whole thing in. And I feel like I'm being nudged in a particular way for sure. But he's playing on my hatred of like kind of DEI and academia, and I feel like I like want to root for him because he's punching some of the things I don't like in the face. But I'm also like, wait, but what? I don't know.
What's
I don't know
this
about that.
undertone to the
Yeah,
deeper...
so like, I have like all these like mixed feelings
Interesting.
about it, and I keep
Okay.
kind of
I
going
didn't
back and
know
forth on how I feel to it. But then the other thing to it is like there's this sort of like love story to it where it's just like you have besmirched the name of my wife and I shall now burn down the
Right.
planet for you, which I find romantic.
You are a romantic.
So from that perspective, I'm kind of into it, which maybe you are too. Like
Yeah. When was the last time we fought for women and children? Let's go fight.
yeah, and it's
we
his
need
wife too is just like I'm sorry, and he's like. You shall own. I was wrong. He's like,
This might be the
death to
episode
all
with the
of you.
most number of Steven voices. and outbursts.
We should drink champagne before every podcast.
Always toast. Always toast and look him in the eye and send it.
His dopamine is just flooding his
no, it's
brain
flooding.
today. This
No,
is
it's
his best
flooding.
day ever.
He's gonna
so
collapse.
amped.
He's gonna have like full blown adrenal fatigue after this.
I mean, as far as other undertones, like I would like to get back to society where we celebrate individuals, and we're not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, we're not there yet where we are able to celebrate individuals' success and what they've accomplished purely based on merit. But we're starting to see these individuals get a pretty large platform of an audience that is quite newsworthy.
Well, that's the way we're celebrating them is attention economy. By giving them attention, they are earning their platform, and they may not be celebrated, but they're being given attention.
But
And that's the ultimate
you know,
currency.
I want to
Today,
celebrate. I kind of want to be narrow-minded about this. Like, if someone makes a notable scientific achievement, I just want to celebrate them for that. I don't want to know all their other biases and what their
so
thoughts on
narrow-minded of you.
politics
My
and
God.
everything else. Like, I just want to celebrate them for the one accomplishment or the two accomplishments they made in their life that had an impact on society.
But what if they have that person that you want to celebrate also has a message they want to send to the world? This is like Colin Kaepernick. Like I'm a quarterback.
that's
but
different,
I
right?
also want to
'Cause
do
that was
this.
his choice to bring that.
But he's like, but
to
I
the
also have this
conversation.
message that I
talk
want
about
to
the
send.
women's U.S. national team.
Sure. So
Yeah.
like you celebrate them for that, but they also want to say something. Like you want to squash that or
No, I think that's different, right?
But
That's
I'm asking Nick. I'm asking
Okay,
Nick, like
I
because
see.
Nick wants to celebrate that, but you want to ignore
Yeah,
the
so
rest.
that's a good question.
Oh.
If that person brought that to the conversation, would you still want to silo the accomplishment?
Like, I don't know. I think it distracts away from the meritocracy of
They
what I
told-
want to live in.
They told Kobe to shut up and dribble, and he like wrote a poem about it that won a Academy Award.
wait, was
called,
that Kobe?
Yeah, called "Shut Up and Dribble."
Kobe's the shut up and dribble guy?
Yeah,
Huh. I assumed that was in like the 70s.
It was a poem. I thought it was like a mini
it's a
documentary.
poem that they turned into a
Something, right?
animated short.
That's what it was. An animated short. Yeah.
I mean, if you guys found yourself in a high profile position with your 15 minutes of fame, is there any particular, cause that you would be like, well, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use this, and it's completely unrelated, not germane to anything I've accomplished, but I'm going to hog the limelight here and just shove this into people's faces because it might affect, 10% of people.
I would probably try to just like mute all the other stuff. I'd be like, hey, everybody, just be cool to each other.
All right, good cause. I'm pro your cause.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Hey, all that other stuff you're doing, chill out.
We should send you to Gaza. You should wrap that thing up. in
Guys,
like
have you guys
3
tried
days.
chilling out?
Jesus. Oh Jesus.
I'm not laughing at that.
No.
Tom Nom said, "Whip it out."
Whip what out?
Who do you think Tom Nom is talking to? It's 100% Armand. It's more of a rhetorical question.
All right, we're going off the rails here. I'm gonna end it with one last
Oh my God.
topic. I kind of have a semi-fallen hero.
You want to do a whole nother topic?
Just one
Wow.
little bit.
I love your
One little bit.
like
Like
cut of your jib.
so. We've
Love
talked
it.
about Peter.
It's early.
We've talked about Peter Zeihan on the podcast quite a bit. He's a geopolitics analyst / commentator.
He would say he's the greatest to have ever lived, I think.
Some would say. I would say he's certainly changed my mind on quite a few things. And Steven put me on to him, and it changed my mind about, specifically like China's influence in the world going forward.
Did it change your mind? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it did. Like the simple demographic graph of China and the decreasing population. And once I saw that, it changed my mind.
Yeah, fans of the pod will know Nick and I used to go at it on China.
Yeah.
You sure
Deep
did.
in the weeds.
Almost as much as you and I went at it on Elon.
So anyway, the one beef I always had with Peter is that when he was in front of media or on a podcast or even his own, daily YouTube videos, is that he is so confident about these ambiguous things.
Conviction.
He has conviction, and
So much conviction.
and it's not like he's got CIA level data at his hands where he can say with conviction that, oh, gee.
No, he's just an incredible orator, and he's extremely verbally articulate. So everything he says is without ums and doubt.
Yeah, and so,
he
so,
just
so to tie it
brings
back to our original thing,
Brings it.
he was the one who said Bitcoin will go to zero. He even said it'll go to negative number.
Negative.
But he
Negative.
also has an incredible number of anecdotes and data to back up every single statement. And of course, like every thought leader, you pick and choose your anecdotes to support your points. That's your job. There's no problem there. But he does a phenomenal job of doing it, and he has so much conviction when he does it that it's difficult not to trust unless you go and do the due diligence to look at every single issue and every anecdote that he's
Is he
bringing
a
up.
case of intellectual elitism where
Yes.
the guy just believes in his opinions,
But
maybe
I don't
not
think
facts
there's anything
so much.
wrong with it. Do you?
So I don't call that
Yes,
intellectual. I
I
don't
do.
think that's intellectual elitism.
Okay.
I feel like that is fine. Like, isn't that
I think it's fine too.
isn't that what we should be doing? Like, somebody
Yes.
should have an opinion, and support their opinion with their rationale.
No,
and then
but-
it could be right or wrong.
But
right?
when something is ambiguous, you are pretty intellectually honest. You're like, well, I don't know.
Well, I'm like the worst offender at this, where I never come with conviction because I'm always questioning my own conviction. It's like I think this, but could
But
be.
I find you more convincing, more trustworthy about a topic if at times you say, I don't know.
Well, it doesn't work with the clicks,
Yeah.
so I don't think it's intellectual
Yeah,
elitism. I think
no.
it's more this attention economy.
It's
that-
definitely not.
No, I think it's elitism because he
elitism.
believes it. Like he literally believes. I think he totally believes that.
Okay, by elitism, do we just mean
yeah.
his smugness?
Yes, I'm better than you.
yeah.
I'm smarter than you. I know everything. You're a
Okay.
stupid person. I'm
Okay,
a smart person.
That I agree with.
I went to
was-
Harvard.
I was sort of taking intellectual elitism to mean more like what I've encountered in my life, which is anyone who graduates from Harvard or something looks down on somebody else just because of that fact, nothing else. That to me screams intellectual elitism, not what he's doing, which is coming with reason and supporting the reason, and he could be right or wrong.
He does say statements like, "I have studied this more than most people that I can think of, and that you probably know." And here's
so
the
let's
fact.
take a statement like he's Xi's inner circle doesn't talk to him. Xi didn't even know that COVID was a thing and that it was harming the economy because he just beheads everyone that tells him bad news. How could you say that so confidently when I don't even know if our own intelligence agencies know that for a fact?
I draw this down to just his personality and character. I just think that you choose who you follow, and some people are very into the Hubermans. Huberman tends to not want to make these very strong, high conviction statements unless he really reaches 100%. I've got the data to back this up, and we've repeated this experiment over and over and over again.
Huber makes a point to never give advice.
Never.
He's here's just what the studies are showing that I've read.
And he'll often say, even though the study shows this, I just want you to know this is what I'm doing. And he clarifies it 3, 4, 5 times. Then you've got a guy please help me remember his name. He's a longevity guy.
Brian Johnson, Peter Tia.
No.
David Sinclair?
David Sinclair. Thank you. David Sinclair comes with conviction on everything he says, and he over sort of steps his there's a lot of assumptions, and there's a lot layered in there. For example, metformin is
Take 4 things: metformin, MMN.
You do these things, and you're going to live forever.
Yeah.
And he's a doctor.
My doctor friend thinks he's full of shit.
Well, a lot of people do. My scientist friend thinks he's full of shit.
Adamantly
But a
full of
lot of
shit.
scientists also agree with him. The point is, I think this is just a personality thing where, certain people... Also, you have to look at... I don't want to get too tinfoily on this. It's not even a tinfoily, but it's just an incentive thing. Look at the back-end incentives of the individual. Huberman wants you to fund his lab. He wants you to become a premium subscriber to fund his lab. Sinclair wants you to buy his shit.
But he also wants you to fund his lab and buy his shit in the future.
I know, but Sinclair's much more upfront about wanting you to buy his shit. And I think you just sometimes have to be careful with that, knowing that like, hey, there's a bit of an incentive here of like, oh, wait, if I take these 4 things, I can take your survey and it leads to a longevity protocol. And for $2,000 a year, I can join your blah, 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 blah. Oh, interesting. Okay. You have to have conviction. If you didn't have conviction, I probably wouldn't take the next step in your funnel.
Right. To
and
sell
as a,
something,
as a former marketer, I understand these things and I know these things. So I know you. Yeah.
This like transcends like economic incentives. This is like a thing. Like, have you guys read Anti-Fragile?
A little bit. Like
That's
I
Taleb.
It's a Taleb book. I feel like it's really
like that's
good.
the
I
kind
don't
of
know
book
if
you
I'm
gotta
like
pick up a
middle curving this, but I
chapter
feel like
and-
it's like actually really good. It's got a lot of like fundamental ideas in it.
It's weird. I don't want to read it because I see him on Twitter and he seems the antithesis of
I like really
Anti-Fragile.
kind of
Why
hate
did he
him.
block you?
Well, he's an ass.
He blocked me because I told him his take on Bitcoin was like shit. But I didn't even say it was like shit. I was just like, what happened to you? Like you blah 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 blah. Like and it was a bad take. It was a terrible take.
And it seems pretty fragile, the response.
Well,
yeah.
I'll meet you here.
I was like, that wasn't a very
Why would he
anti-fragile response.
this guy?
Wait, did you guys ever know that old comedian Mitch Hedberg?
I love Mitch
Yeah.
Hedberg jokes.
You know, he has that joke where he's like, man, when you're a comedian, everybody wants you to act. It's like you're a chef, and they're like, can you farm? But that's what this is. Like, people are like experts in a topic, and like the point of the chapter in Taleb's book is that expertise is way more narrow than people think it is, and the people who have the expertise think it is, right? So somebody like Zeihan may very well be an expert in some of the stuff like we read in the books, and like, wow, that's really good. And something like Bitcoin to him is like, he's like, I've got this. This is basically the same thing. And they like wildly overestimate their ability to comment on something. Like we all do this.
This is great because this is why I want to bring this topic up, because it's like a theme throughout our whole podcast. If there's so much information coming in, how do you figure out what is truth in all these opinions coming out of it? And so I don't know. I want to keep going on this.
I think the moral of the story is that
put-
expertise is super narrow.
I put Peter Zeihan in the same bucket that I put Raoul Paul.
That's,
To me,
no.
hold on.
No.
They're both
Stop it. No.
looking at patterns.
No, go away. Leave.
No. I think. Wait here. They're
Hold on,
literally
let 'em
predicting the future. They're literally telling you the way that they think things will play out based on the data that they have and the information, the patterns from the past. That's all they're doing. It's the same thing. And so I give it grace. I give it like, you know what, dude? Like, you think the Middle East is going to blow up in this way,
But you
and then
still
you
have
end
to
up being wrong.
You still have to decide for yourself.
Of course, no, that's a different topic.
So how do you weight it?
How do you weight it? You got to be careful when you listen to people that are extremely certain of the things that they're telling you.
Okay.
That's separate. That's a separate topic.
All right.
But if I'm analyzing, like, do I discount Peter Zeihan or Raoul Paul or Steven Cesaro, for that matter, for being like, this is the thing today? I don't. Because he's giving me the best thing that he can with the information that he has, and he's educated, and this is what he knows, and he wants to do a service and educate you and share that today with you. I look at it as a service. That's my job to believe him and take action on it or not, because we've talked about that 1,000 fucking times on this podcast. Back to your question, that the action comes back to me. That's my responsibility. How dare I blame Raoul Paul or Steven Cesaro or fucking Peter Zeihan for something that they told me? I think that's the problem with society.
Okay.
Don't blame that person.
You know why this is different? If you came to me and you pulled up my tweet from the spring where you're like, wow, Steven, you said all these Arbitrum ecosystem coins were going to pump during the Arb airdrop, I would be like, yeah, that was a dumb call. That was very wrong. I lost a lot of money. Sorry. If you were like Peter Zeihan, like, Bitcoin is up, it's the best performing asset of the year, he wouldn't be like, yeah, I was wrong, I'm sorry. He'd be like, you peasant. Your frame of reference is so, your time horizon is so small.
I don't
your
know enough
mind.
about him,
You simply can't comprehend like the duration.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he would do.
But that's what-
why
No,
it's
but
different.
that's different. That's
different.
That's
But that's why I
completely
like,
agree with you.
But that's
there.
why I liked Armand's point about it being a personality thing more than anything. Like David Sinclair versus Huberman. It's like these are mostly personality differences.
They are. And if Peter Zeihan wouldn't apologize for that, then I wouldn't like that person. I wouldn't follow that person. But and I don't know a lot about Raoul Paul, but didn't he apologize and like really try to like earn his way back with people after his blunders?
Yeah, he kind of seems like a good dude.
Like a genuine dude. He's like, I fucked up.
For
He's
sure.
a super
He's
salesman.
a salesman.
Super
He's
salesman.
literally a
By the
Goldman
way,
Sachs
look at his
salesman.
incentives. He's got a back
Runs
end.
a thing.
He's got a
yeah.
back end, a mastermind, a course, a this, a that. He wants you to come
He's a
and
guru.
buy his fucking
Also, credit
shit.
where credit's due. He was
a
one of
guru.
like 3 people last
Yeah.
fall being like, I'm buying. This is the bottom. You're all more. And everybody was like, it's over. Everything's going to
Yeah.
zero. And Raul was like, look, we're buy.
Yeah.
He's like, something,
Exactly.
something, network effects curve, Moore's
Yeah,
law.
and
I
he
don't
made it
know.
sound
buy.
smart. And
Metcalf.
it got a lot of people. And he hurt a lot of people.
Says
but-
with British
but
talks
yeah, if you
in British voice.
if you can't apologize and admit you're wrong, then you're a narcissist. So that's a different problem. Let's separate those two.
I had a good mentor when I was younger, and he's a good friend, my buddy Johnny. And when I was trying to learn digital marketing, and there's a different aspects of digital marketing, he was like, if you don't know, pick one person for their very specific thing. And I kind of think it applies today. Like, I think what Elon's great at is first principles thinking across the board. And I think he's great at that. I think Peter Zeihan's great at overall geopolitical trends and maybe even first principles thinking about like what really matters in terms of geopolitical power. And maybe that's just how we have to do it. Like you said, expertise is very narrow, and just choose your players, choose your as team captain of what information you intake, choose who your players are for each of your topics, and try to filter out the rest. But I think where it gets a little slippery is when you start relying on Elon for, I don't know, random
should I have
political
children?
issues. Yeah, should you have children? Or Peter Zeihan on cryptocurrency and investment advice. Like that's where it gets slippery.
Or Jordan Peterson on matters that don't relate to psychology. Like,
Right.
But also, even the experts don't know, like the future. Nobody knows. So all you can do is piece together this mosaic to make your own decisions. So, like, at the end of the day, you have to decide. And I think people are probably reluctant to do that.
Tom Nom's comment nails it.
What do you say?
Expertise is super narrow, but the ability to ask good questions and think deeply can traverse multiple specialties. And Peter Zeihan is not sitting there thinking deeply and asking questions. He's just like, I know this. This is the thing. I know this. This is the thing. This is the thing. This
I'm
is
not
the
When
thing.
totally
you're
wiping him off, by the way. Like he's not a full fallen hero, but I'm
not.
skeptical.
I am not either. I think he actually has expertise in a
wait, am
specific
I
domain.
mistaken?
but-
Because did you guys even say what he got? Like,
Yeah, we say he was on Rogan last year saying Bitcoin was zero.
Oh, the
Actually, it
Bitcoin
was going
thing.
to go negative
okay,
at like the Pico bottom, like one of the worst calls of all time.
Yeah.
Fallen Heroes would be a good Alfalfa segment.
We got blacked
there's
out during
another
that.
there's another guy I follow on Twitter who I've been following for quite some time, since he had like 1,000 followers, and he had these incredible write-ups on why actually we're in this like mega bullish thing, and everything he predicted was actually correct for the last year. I'm like, wow, phenomenally brilliant. Like, saw all these insights. And then he started tweeting about Bitcoin the last 3 months, and they are like 7 IQ. It's like going back to 2014 like stuff. It's just like, how is this the same person? Super narrow
expertise.
super narrow like frame of expertise. It's kind of crazy, but like
one of
just
the
doesn't get it.
natural progressions that occurs for all experts when they get their 15 minutes of fame, and it just so happens to become 15 years of fame, is that they're relied upon for their expertise in domains that are completely outside of what they signed up for. And so then all of a sudden Jordan Peterson is being asked questions about the climate, and he's like, well, I have read a lot
Yeah,
of
he's a
papers on the
climate
climate.
change
He's like a
expert now.
climate guy now. He's like a climate guy. What the fuck does that have to do with clinical psychology, Jordan? You know? And so
Of course the earth isn't warming.
might be a GOAT Steven episode.
Holy
Fucking
shit.
thank God all of us are experts in nothing.
Did I just get called the Shah of Iran?
Shah of
And did I
Iran.
take life too seriously?
The Shah of Iran
Oh my God,
guy in
that's
all
great.
black
Von
takes
Deepa,
life
brother.
too
Von
seriously.
Deepa.
Wow.
You must always look deeper.
That's what we rely on.
We
you
welcome
for.
trolls
Thank you.
into the audience.
Oh,
That's
we
so
always do.
Go
rad.
Von deeper.
I don't mind Shah of Iran. We need some kind of leadership there.
Dude, we're like 2 hours deep into an episode and we're getting trolled. This is like a big level up.
Shah of Iran.
But you catch my drift, right? Like, if you are beyond that time and people start to rely on you, you're going to have a take. What's your take, Nick? What's your take on the climate? Like, they're asking you.
know.
And you're going to get caught up. You're just going to get caught up.
When
You're
I
gonna
talk
be
to me about
wrong.
online advertising, I might have an opinion. Outside of that, no opinion. All right, guys. Well, I wish we could invite everyone in the chat right now to come to the next place we're
I
going
know.
to.
I want to grab a drink with all of you.
I know. I was like, all right, guys, here's where we're going. Everyone meet
Hey
there.
guys, a couple years from now, we're gonna be sitting here with our Apple Vision Pros, and there'll be like an audience there.
First
They'll
guy
be
I want to
hanging
talk to,
out.
by the way, is Southside Playa. I
Dude,
want to be like,
Southside
I wanna
Playa.
be like, what else do
I
you
got
have
some
to say?
Lagavulin
Southside
for you.
Playa.
What else
came
do you have
in
to say
hot.
about Armand?
Yeah, keep going. By the way, how did you know he was Persian? I want to know.
My man's a man of the world.
Yeah.
He knows his
He
people.
just-
All right,
Oh,
well,
that's great.
All right, well, we're gonna go out now and celebrate some more.
Congratulations,
I'm gonna drink my
everybody.
first 3-digit old fashioned tonight. That's
Okay.
my goal.
Ooh,
Wow,
Wait, you're gonna
wow,
order
wow.
like a fucking
wait, where can we
Daddy.
order
Oh,
$100 old fashioned?
Aren't you taking us to the
Our
reading club?
private
that where we're
club
going?
situation?
Oh, okay, we're going to the
You're
club.
taking us to your private club, right?
Okay, I didn't know that. All right, I'm in.
I'm not a member, so I can't take us.
You're still pending.
Did you forget?
No, sorry, I didn't even read the thread.
They
Steven
wouldn't,
and I's
they wouldn't let me.
application
They
is
wouldn't
still-
let me in.
Steven and I's application is still pending. No, brother. They didn't deny us. We're just pending.
I thought
Yeah.
it was because I was white, and then Armand got denied. So
If the Shah of Iran,
Hypothesis
if the Shah of
disconfirmed.
Iran, if the Shah of
Oh,
Iran
God.
and the Swamp Dweller got denied, then there's no reason.
You idiots both mentioned crypto in your application.
Yeah,
yeah, that was a dumb
can't do
move.
that.
We
It was a terrible move.
Private social club? Come on,
Oh
get out
my
of here.
God.
They were like losers. Denied.
It's going to negative. All right, everyone.
All right.
I've had a blast. I hope you guys have too.
good.
Hope there's a little bit of alfalfa. Definitely some laughs in there. Yeah, happy Bitcoin ETF day, everyone. We'll celebrate. We'll move on to the next thing. And tomorrow is a show of Irresponsibly Long, where Eric and Steven will dive into all your little technicals
Yes.
and fundamentals.
A name I believe we stole from Raw Paul. So Adam was
No,
asking.
we didn't.
Adam was asking why we hate him.
No, we didn't take that from Earl Paul. That's
people-
open source.
But
He's like, I am more than long. I am irresponsibly long. It was like an iconic tweet where he was like tweeting about how he was like mega long ETH calls at
Damn.
the top. That's why people were like,
get him on the
"Okay,
pod."
buddy.
You
know,
guys
it's a-
should get
it's
people
an
on
homage.
Responsibly Long.
That would
no,
be sick.
No, fuck that. I want to
Okay,
hear
I'm
only
sorry.
you two guys.
It's an homage to full tilt investing.
Yeah, only degens.
Well, that's tomorrow. Is at 5 p.m. PST? Tomorrow?
Yes,
Live?
5 p.m.
Okay,
Thursday.
yeah, check it out.
Be
on the-
there, be square. Have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a lot deeper on this ETF
Yeah,
thing.
you kept it nice and light and vanilla. For
I
me
kept
today.
it nice and Armand friendly tonight.
Okay.
You know,
People
Hit
are
it hard
asking
tomorrow.
ChatGPT and Google, what the fuck is Eigenlager still? Yeah, you can go into it later. All right, everyone, all the links are at alfalfapod.com. We love you very much. Thanks for joining. Until next week, bye-bye.
Later, everybody.
wag me.